And now we are recording. All right.
Sweet, there we go. I see a little record button.
All righty. All right, everybody. Welcome to Dream Nexus. This is your host, Chris. We're here today with Peter Crum. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Peter?
For sure, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really like a public figure or anything of that matter, of that sort, but I definitely how to introduce myself. I mean, I'm just something out there. I kind of just got into, the spiritual, kind of metaphysical realm when I was about 17. I'm 21 now. And, I figure that's kind of what Chris's podcast is about. And that's what we connect on. So we might as well dive on into that. But yeah, really for me, like I had these like these nagging questions and like this just nagging feeling of like there's more out there. And I know that kind of stuff comes from like, past lives and that's really what it comes from, like work that we've done in past lives to really awaken ourselves. And so I just ended up, I found out about this thing called the third eye, because actually it's a funny story. A buddy of mine posted on Facebook. He's like, this is like hilarious. He's like, if you want to be in the Illuminati, like message me. So I messaged him. I'm like, all right, bro, how do I join? And then he ends up sending me these like solfeggio meditation tones. You know about those?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he sent me the solfeggio tones, and then I would like meditate with those, and like they really were like they did something. They worked. And then I started researching those, and I found out about like this thing called the third eye. And then so I just went online. I was like, how do you open your third eye? And then I came across this website called resistance2010.com. And there's like this really cool post about like you take these herbs, like gotu kola was one of the herbs, and it talked about what it means to have activated third eye. And then from there I got into this website Resistance 2010. I got into all this knowledge, and I started connecting with these people, and it was amazing. But as you know, Chris, and we could talk a little bit about this, like when you start really waking up to shit, it's really not all roses and honey and flowers and all that. Like it's actually it's almost like life gets hard. I mean, life's already hard for everyone as it is, but it's almost like it gets harder because all this stuff, and you have a responsibility and you got to find out what you're supposed to do with all this information. So you can if you want, you can go ahead and speak a little bit on that.
That's right, man. I totally know what you're saying, and that's the whole point of even what we're doing right here. This is me trying to do something with that information. You know what I mean? Speaking to other people that are on similar frequency with the things that I think and feel, and I see out there. We've communicated, and we've been becoming friends, and I don't know. It's kind of a lonely endeavor. At the same time, it's not. Like there's a lot of us that are out here, but like the day to day, it's just not something that's like commonly talked about. You know what I mean? So it's a part of us.
We're definitely outcast.
Yeah.
And like a huge part of just this whole journey of wanting to be on that more aware level and from your everyday life and meditate and be more spiritual or whatever is knowing how to communicate this stuff to people. Like, and I mean, it's just as important. Well, it's almost just as important to have a comprehension of it yourself as it is to communicate to other people. And like something that I kind of live by is like that I posted this as a status on Facebook one time a long time ago. I think before we were friends, but I was saying like if you're trying to communicate something to somebody that may be like one of these deep truths or whatever, and they don't necessarily understand it and they're not comprehending what you're saying, that's actually your problem. That's not their problem, because and that's another thing like I always say is like I mean, life is best simply lived, and you just got to make it simple, and the truth is always simple. So yeah.
That's right, man. That's right. And that's the thing is like, right, exactly.
Yeah, man, we do this thinking thing, and it gets,
yeah, exactly.
It's so hard because we get in our own way, and it's like the key is just like feel and really not think like. But yeah, do you meditate nowadays?
Yeah, I do. I've been a meditator for years now, and I probably started meditating when I was about 15 or so. I came into it, and I was like starting to study spiritual knowledge, occult knowledge, and all this stuff, and kind of waking up to some of the things that were going on. And then I had, I don't know, I started like, it was around like when I learned about like 9/11. I think I was like, I kind of came into it a little bit later, but I was like 17, 18, something like that. And a lot of that really hit me, and then like the whole,
Yeah, I
stuff
was talking to
around
my
it.
buddy Dan. Yeah, I was talking to my buddy Dan, Dan Trifin. Shout out to him. I'm sure he'll watch this. But he was saying like the same thing when we were in Costa Rica on the retreat. Uh, we went on this retreat just for people who don't know that. But yeah, he was saying the same thing. Like that was really the main thing that woke him up. And he was saying like he moved to America on like September 2002. And yeah, but I mean, yeah, it probably woke a lot of people up just to, maybe not spiritually per se, but just to like, wow, there's more out here. And then like I was also talking to my friend on the phone, Gary, just now, and we were talking like he's asking me like, so what is the third eye really? And I was saying like it's really not complicated. Like we all use our, not like spiritually oriented people, but it's just like being able to notice things that are right in front of your face, and that's just kind of, that's what it is.
Yeah. It's kind of like seeing the spiritual and the ordinarily mundane. Kind of, it's like
So
there's really powerful stuff and symbols that are constantly all around you. That it's all you. That's the thing, is it's like that's, as I've been opening mine up more, as it's like some people at first, it's like you're looking for this crazy visionscape, which it also can be, absolutely, but like if that was like that all the time, you'd be going crazy. You know what I mean?
yeah, like and what, like one thing I wanted to talk about you, like just that we had talked about for notes was just like psychedelics, and like
Mhm.
and like when I used to do DMT like a lot, like too much, and one thing I had to always tell myself was like, I knew about the whole all the self thing, so I always had to tell myself like, when you go in that space, you're not like, just realize that everything is just like a reflection of you, basically. There's nothing out there that's like actually separate. So if you get really scared or anything, just realize like, your higher self is
Mhm.
like in control, or like not really control, but yeah, like control. Like your higher self is, like that's what it is. It's not, there's nothing separate. And that's
Mhm.
something like Sevan always talks about too, is like everything, like you can see this monstrous like ugly form or whatever, but it's just like a reflection of you. And that's like where compassion comes in, just in knowing that there's nothing that's against you.
That's
And
right.
like, yeah, man.
And then it's just something you can shine light on too. It's just another part of you to be transmuted or understood.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's kind of a lot of times the two can go hand in hand. And
Yeah.
I went in the other night, and
Okay. On DMT.
and yeah,
Or
yeah. And it was funny. One of the intentions I'd set for myself was to be open to what spirit had to show me, and just, just really, it is kind of a open-ended intention, I suppose, but it's also specific too, because like sometimes when you're trying to look for something very specific, you can miss other details. And if you're looking for something really, you can miss something that actually needs to be, you know what I mean? That's actually like needs to be communicated to you instead, that you need to be paying attention to. But it was like I
dope.
got in, and I was like thinking of that intention. It's just like, so it's just like, well, you are spirit, so what do you want to see? And so it's like, it's
Yeah.
like, and like instantly I was like, oh, okay. It's like any like part of my experience that I wanted to like go to, I could like imagine, and I could just like see it, really like glimpses of it, and like be there, and like seeing like what felt like glimpses of the future, of scenarios, but like could even just be them like super vividly, and like just like forming kind of like within my own mind. It's kind of hard to tell what is one or the other, you know what I mean? Especially with the whole all is self concept thing, like it could be
Yeah.
both, you know. So
Yeah. Like for real, I started going, I started going in some, like I'm telling you, too many times, like hundreds. I started going in so many times that like nothing would even happen. Like honestly, like I
yeah.
would just do it. I would just smoke it. I'm like, all right, this is not at all what I was getting at first. Like, and yeah, it's like
Mm-hmm.
spirit's already shown me like what I mean. There's no need to go
Right.
get a pipe and smoke this stuff. The spirit's, it's already there. You know, it's already there.
That's right.
Just
And
having
that's,
the ability.
go ahead.
Go
Sorry.
ahead. Oh yeah, I was just gonna say like something that's been on my mind as of late is like I'm thinking about like a goal or like even an intention is like how to feel like you're on like DMT without it. And like really what it came down to, the way to do that is like connect with nature. It's like a couple different things, like connect with nature. Like, you know, if you get, I mean, I don't really I really much never do that because I'm kind of in the city, but you know, when I was in Hawaii, that was when I felt the most connected, because I would just go out in nature and I was just surrounded by it. But yeah, that fasting and like drinking like green juices, because that stuff just it's like brain food, it's like cell food. But it's just hard to believe that you could really get to that point without the actual
Right.
what do they call it, catalyst.
Right. This makes me think of something Terrence McKenna had said about how he's like, you shouldn't be, because he's like, I've traveled the whole world trying to figure out how to get to these states without doing anything. He's like, then I came to this conclusion. He's like, why would anybody really want to do that? He's like, why would anybody want to accidentally do this? Like, you two become so good, like when you're meditating or whatever, that you just instantly go to a dimension you didn't want to. It's just like, he's just like, what? You'd have to be off your rocker to do that. But, I mean, but actually, I'm glad that you got into this topic, and it's kind of synchronous that we kind of get into this, because it's something I was going to say when I was about to interrupt you earlier about how last night I had this epiphany that like the feeling that I was in that space, I realized that the only thing that felt different between that and meditating was what I was seeing.
Sure.
But the space of like the gnosis and like the communication, like with that spirit, like with that higher self, like it is your thoughts. And like it's your kind of job to disseminate what they are in some sense, but like you getting in tune, like there's the monkey mind and all that, but like at the same time, that's also still part of it too. So it's like, it's a whole line of communication is what I'm trying to say. It's kind of mixed together is what I found. And like, because it's, you're even the monkey is, it's still a reflection of the subconscious. It's still a reflection of your whole total environment. You can still push past it, but you want to ignore it. You know what I mean? And like,
yeah, bro. I mean, like, and just society like pushes us to think, you know, so much because it's such a man-made environment.
Yeah.
Like man-made buildings and all this stuff that we've created and we've built. So we're just pushed more into our human side and less towards our godly side.
Yeah.
You know, I guess you could say. I don't know. Like, how do you feel about like God? Like, do you think there's a God, or do you not really use that term, or do you like higher self or something?
I think we all come from some sort of a something somewhere, and I think we are all also
some higher intelligence.
I think higher and lower. I think we're all of it, actually. I think we're everything in between.
Sure.
And I think we have access to all of it. It just depends on where we want to make our mind up. I think a lot of it's about, literally, it's just how you feel. That's what I found. Like the tree, this whole thing it's like a lot of it, literally, it's your thoughts. I found, like, in my experience, that so much of what the reality that we're sharing is just an agreement of thought. Even this communication, or like, it's an agreement of like so many orders that we can't even begin to start talking about. You know what I mean? I mean, we could, but we'd be here all night just on that alone.
Yeah.
So I think it's a space that's built on like really intense thought forms that are like, because like when you get into like psychedelic states or like those kinds of like lucid states, it's amazing like how much your thought drives the reality itself, with the visuals that you see, the things that you interact with, the people that come to you, the synchronicities that happen. So it's like, makes you really see like how so much of this is illusion and is a dream. So it's like on some level, it's like also I've felt other parts of myself that like in dreams themselves, like I've had experiences where I felt like I'm like multiple people at once, like multi-dimensional, it's like self, like feelings before. So it's like, I know that there's some other kind of self underneath of all that that's kind of generating that's kind of like breathing in and breathing out collectively. And it's like, whether it's one kind of thing that like knows it's all that, or it's just it just breathes in and breathes out and it's just kind of mindless in some senses, or it's both. I think it's kind of both. I feel like it's a paradoxical kind of nature that goes on to things. It's like where I think the source of kind of the duality of things kind of comes from, in a way, is just this paradox that we always find in different parts of nature. And so I try to find, I don't know, that evidence in nature as best I can. Like you were saying earlier, connected to nature is where I feel closest to that. I feel like I don't even like need to see so much, or feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's just the getting like really deep in is a feeling. It's just like it's a, I don't know, it's just hard to talk about. It's hard to put into words. It's just it's like,
it's like, yeah, it's like it's not meant to be talked about.
right.
But yeah, like legit, like, you know, like we hear about, like, you know, I mean, like, it's funny because as much like for someone who's recently like kind of outed Sevan or whatever as like I don't listen to him or I don't mess with him anymore, like a lot of the concept he said still stuck with me. So like one of the concepts is like when you teach about like the quantum field, and you know we can talk about who Sevan is and all that, you know, later. Just for people who don't know, because there's going to be people who don't know who that is and whatnot. But he talks about the cornucopic field, and like when I legit would experience that cornucopic field, but I don't see it nowadays. But when I did was when I was living on this farm in Hawaii, because I was just immersed in nature, and then like I would just start to notice, like I literally saw that like overlaying shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's amazing how just the effect nature has on us.
Yep. And it's really interesting, like when you, I don't know, I've seen like that cornucopic, like that kind of like 528, like
Yeah.
I've seen that on a friend of mine's like forehead on their third eye. I've seen that like all like around that, and like they're just kind of all sitting there talking. It was kind of nighttime. You could just see this going. It's just like
you're in the cattle. You done the cattle.
I was in it was in a catalyzed state. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, like
There's actually
like
it was just a couple mushroom caps, to be honest. It was not much of anything.
Okay.
But mushrooms are very active for me, so like it doesn't take very much for me to like kind of like start to see a little bit with them.
And then the other, like, I want to talk about another experience I had, like, with kind of the cornucopia thing, was like this dream I had, and I made a video about it a while ago, but I just deleted it. I deleted it, but like I had, it was like, like the trippiest, like the most psychedelic dream I'd ever had. And it's because I was taking mugwort, which you know about mugwort. It's like a lucid dreaming, or it's like a lucid dreaming.
I've done that.
So, for sure, yeah. So I drank some mugwort tea, and then like my crazy lucid dreams happen when I take a nap. So I was in a nap, and like I was in like this complex in like Costa Rica, and because it was like a week or so before I was actually going to go on that retreat that I mentioned, which we'll talk about. So I was like, I went to the retreat in a dream beforehand, and then like shit, like stuff was really weird. I didn't understand what was happening, and then I started to get a focus on the dream, and it was like everything was just like turning, like something was turning this way, and then there's another layer like turning this way, another layer turning the other way, and like that was how I moved through like the dream into like different rooms, like just like being aware. Like I was lying in a bed at one point, and then like as the cog moves, I like would go with it, and like that's how I would get from place to place. It was like the most psychedelic dream ever.
Interesting. That's really what's the word I'm trying to say?
Fantastic.
Fantastic is a great word. We'll go with that one. I've had experience. I actually have it written in one of my dream journals of an experience of having a dream where I was literally just moving through cogs and like pulled back and like saw just a bunch of cogs, and I was just like harmonizing energy between different ones and like going into them and like
yeah.
That's weird. My mom has had cog dreams before too. That's interesting, actually.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. It's like a thing, yeah. But yeah, man. What else? I mean, talk about psychedelics. We could talk about other states that feel psychedelic, but You're not necessarily using a catalyst. Like,
Right. Oh yeah, there's tons of
you know.
that. Have you? What kind of? Well, let's talk about that. Like, what is an example of that you
Right.
you
Like,
like?
well, like the first thing I think of is like running.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you go on a nice run, you can feel like you're high, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
runner's high. I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's really it's hard to imagine being able to get to that same state without eating a mushroom or smoking something funny.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like there's just one motivational speaker I know who he talks about in his video, like he's like, you know, you don't need that stuff. You just push yourself, and you can get there. And I think he has a point, because it's like coming from someone who never, like he said, he's never done any drug or anything in his life. But he's like saying, like, yeah, people come up to me and ask me like if I done ayahuasca or anything. He's like, my life's like I'm already on that. Like I feel like I'm already on shrooms. So it's interesting, you know.
It is. It's like that's really cool. Like I'm not trying to shoot the man down in any sense, but like he has no idea what he's talking about at the same time. Like I feel like no, you don't. You don't know what that feels like. So
Yeah.
so like okay, so that guy, if then he would do, imagine how much happy. Perhaps, I
Yeah.
don't know. They might make him be like,
Yes.
"What's my whole life? What is my fucking life?" Do you remember that thing Joshua had posted? That dude,
What?
the dude's like of the dude blessed, and the dude's just like, "What is my life? What the fuck is it?"
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh man, no.
Sounds funny. I don't know what you're talking about though.
Yeah, no. It was just it was a post, just of a friend blasting. That's all.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, man. So yeah, talk a little bit about like your art and like I mean, do you paint or you graphic kind of design, or talk a
I
little bit about that? And like, talk about what inspires you. Like, where do you get
Sure.
your ideas from?
Okay. Well, I do a few different kinds of art. I like to paint, draw, pencil, charcoal. And that's what I'm mostly into now. I'm kind of exploring watercoloring a little bit and wanting to jump more into graphic design stuff. But I do photography as well. So those are my like main things I'm pretty much doing right now with art. Oh yeah, and I do wire wrapping as well. I've
Nice, man.
been doing that for like, I think you've seen some of those pictures before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing that for a little while. But yeah, what inspires me? A lot of things.
Tripping.
That's one. Another one. My mom. My mom inspires me with art. She was an artist for a long time, and she gave me a bunch of stuff, like a bunch of her gear, and it's really helped me out a lot. I did art school for a while as well. I did a year and some change when I was in college in art, and then I started to get on with business and different things. But I've always loved art. I took art in high school and stuff like that. I was never the best drawer, and then I started getting into more advanced classes in college, and that really helped me a lot. But um, yeah, I don't know. I am inspired by the things that I see in trips, in meditations, in my own visions that I have. The things that I want to, I don't know, that I want people to feel, that I want people to understand about the world that we live in, and try to show, I don't know, like my feeling about it, or my feeling of it just about reality, I guess, and just my experience of it and perception of it, and try to be able to share that as best I can. That's kind of my mission with my art. That's what inspires me or motivates me forward with it, is as a medium to understand and appreciate reality and enjoy it.
For sure, man. Like, and like, I feel like we, before we like came here as like fleshly vessels, I feel like our spirit, like almost like signed a contract and like knew what we came here to do. So I just want to ask you, like, what do you feel like that is for you? Like, what do you feel? And it's like a very hard question, but like, what do you feel like you came here to do? Like how you would do it?
I'd say it's a hard question for me, and it's not at the same time. Like, one of those things is doing this right now here with you. You know,
Nice.
this show has been something that's been coming through to me that is something I really need to do, and I've been. It's kind of here. Let me get a glass of water.
Yeah.
It's kind of been a part of my journey for a long time in a way. Like, I kind of got into more of this exploration and understanding, you know, things about reality that you know I didn't learn in school, and all that.
Yo, I want to interrupt you. So speaking of things that we didn't learn in school, I don't know if you saw this Kyrie Irving. You hear about that?
Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, Kyrie Irving's a professional NBA player for the Cavaliers who won like the championship, a few years ago or last
Mhm.
year. And he just came out in the headlines saying like, he thinks the Earth is flat.
Mhm.
And the reporter's like, what? Like, you think the Earth's flat? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, man, like, there's a lot of stuff, uh, that we were taught in school that may not be true or that's not true. So, flat Earth could be one or whatever. So, what would you say? What do you say in regards to like a statement like that?
Well, I mean that's the thing is it's hard to know what to believe too, because there is a lot of stuff in school that we learn that's not doesn't necessarily apply to the reality, that we don't necessarily need, or it's also influenced just by the school or the people that are actually teaching it itself too. Um,
For sure.
as far as like even like flat Earth and stuff like that, like that's going to come up. Somebody's going to ask me, "What is your opinion on flat Earth?" So I might as well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. There's no way for me to personally know unless I go all the way up into the stratosphere and look for myself for me to actually know. I don't know. I've never been up there to my recollection. That's first. Second, I think it could be a lot of things. I think this reality is way fucking crazier than most people are willing to admit. So I think it could be a
Yeah.
flat Earth, it could be a globe, it could be a projection, it could be an illusion, it could be all of them at the same time. I don't know. Personally, I don't care at this point.
You don't
I
care.
just
So
want. I
like,
just.
let me ask you let me ask you like which shape or which like concept makes the most sense according to physics?
Even in physics, like there's a lot of things in physics that don't make sense.
It's a paradox, right?
Exactly. That's the whole thing I'm saying. It's like, well, if we're it could be like it's like what is a planet inside of a dream? Like
Yeah.
what is money inside of a dream? Like you know,
Yeah. It's just funny. It is funny when you
it's
think about like the stuff that people take so serious, like the stuff that's so serious about life. And that's why I just I need to have a sense of humor because if you really
yeah.
get down to it, it's like wow, like what the hell?
Yeah. Eventually I'm gonna have a rocket and I'm gonna go to space before I die. I'm gonna know.
Yeah. Yeah, one girl. My friend
Uh,
commented on that on my video. I'm like, or on this, I posted about the Kyrie Irving. I was like, I was like, I mean, what, you don't believe photos from NASA? And she's like, well, that's not enough. I was like, well, what would be enough? And she was saying like being able to actually go there. So yeah, man. Hopefully one day we can go there.
yeah. Take you with me.
Yeah. I don't
To
know.
to not to so to stay on the question though, like with my mission, my mission,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
um, to speak my truth, to help others share their truth as well, have that be part of what I do, as well as, you know, with everything that I'm doing with the farm and all that. I want to uh, basically I want to heal people in as many ways as I can while I'm here.
Nice, man. That's awesome.
And I've recognized that all of your actions can be different forms of healing. And, you know, one way I can do that is by spreading organic food locally in my community that can directly impact people that I know, or people that I
Yeah.
don't necessarily specifically know, but that, you know, whatever, you know. So that's one. Uh, and that's kind of a big one for me, is getting that one figured out here in the next few years, getting that really together.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. Let me just like I want to talk about like your farm and stuff, but let me just bring up something really quick. Like, so I work at this juice bar, like a juice and smoothie bar, and
Uh-huh.
like the owner told me, like the guy, my boss or whatever, told me like everything there is organic, but I went there and he had like these apples that were just huge, like these elongated apples. I'm like, bro, look at his apples. Like, it's definitely GMO, but he's like, I mean, he said everything he buys is organic, but that's just, it's just for, it's not really true. It's not really, because they say like, if you say organic, it has to be it has to be non-GMO, but that can't be true.
There's also a lot of things that can be organic too, and that's the other downside to like even organic is
Even if
even
it's like,
some organic is worse for you than non. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, I read this article that like the shit they preserve, the stuff they preserve the fruit. I don't know if you heard about that. You're nodding, but like the stuff they preserve the apples with, like they inject it with like some weird chemical that makes it stay fresher for longer.
mm-hmm. I was nodding because there's other things they use, like preservatives and things that they use that they're saying is organic, but it's still, it's really not good for you.
And like, so like just going into this farm that you told me about it, it's like sanctuary or whatever. Like I would imagine like if I were to do the same thing, because I've had like kind of thoughts of doing the same thing in my past. It'd be like I would want to know exactly where the food's coming from, basically. Like I would want to talk to the farm, communicate, you know what I'm saying, like, and actually know that it's the real deal, know that it's organic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, talk a little bit about like, just go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, so that's kind of the idea with the farm is to be able to for you to be able to trust what you're getting, from your farm to your plate is what you're paying for. It's organic, and then it's actually really high quality, and then it's going toward your local economy, and it's actually, it's helping, like I said, your local economy. But
wait, let me ask you something too. Like, what kind of research have you done into ways to like enrich the soil, like to make it high quality soil for like the plants?
So like for permaculture, there's all kinds of different things and different techniques that you can use. We use a mixture of aquaponics, hydroponics, and permaculture. We've been focusing on an aquaponics greenhouse, but we're getting our permaculture going right now. Now that it's kind of getting into season, and we got our materials and stuff together. And actually, I did a walk around on our property, our friend's property where the greenhouse is at, which they're basically giving us free reign to do whatever we want on there. But they've got a big woods that like where a lot of the trees are cut down, and there's like a bunch of turkey tail mushrooms growing. But we're gonna make a big permaculture forest out there, and there's ways you can make swales, so you can actually use the natural. And that's the thing is the thing that I've learned is really important is creating a really balanced natural ecosystem of like the mycorrhizal and microbial environment, a balance between the fungus and the bacteria. Maintaining that homeostasis is really important for the plants to maximize the nutrients in the soil and for them to be, fully healthy.
Yeah, bro. Like I was watching this YouTube video too. This guy, I don't remember his name, but he was talking about like, like he and his people were eating this like moringa, and it was like really kicking, like they felt the energy from it and stuff. And then he said, all right, but like it was grown in Africa. And he's like, all right, well, I'm gonna start making my own to sell it, make some money off it. But he was growing his in North America, and people weren't getting the same reaction. Like they were saying, I don't know, man, stuff's not really the same. So I think that's a big thing too. Like I feel like, you should be best to like research the crops that grow naturally, like in Illinois. I mean, because that's where the nutrients are going to be anyway. But
yeah,
I don't know.
That's a good point too, because also like different plants, and like it depends on the plant, but their like light sensitivity, like it's generally going to be more of a specific range of light that they're getting kind of throughout the day at different parts of the equator, a different kind of band of it. So
and that's like it's like this kind of like concept is what drew me. Like I put a Facebook status a while ago, which I'm sure you probably saw, about like, like what are we supposed to eat when there's no sun out, like when crops aren't growing and it's cold out, like you kind of have no choice to eat animals. And I feel like Illinois is like probably one of those places. I can't imagine there. I mean, if you lived up here, like up north at least, I can't imagine. I mean, if we didn't have access to, to being able to ship food, and there's no crops, what would you eat? I mean, I don't know.
Right. way back when, yeah, that'd be tough. Besides trying to grow things like that actually do grow in the winter, like carrots, leeks, kale. Um,
I mean, I know Chicago is named after like Chicago, which is like means onion.
mhm.
So, I mean, probably that grew.
Root vegetables, basically. Yeah, like
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, probably that grew. I know
But
that.
like it's tough to get through, like get all your protein just from root vegetables through the whole
Yeah,
winter. So
and then
it's
like,
yeah.
and then just like tangent, like, because I have my own like feelings about protein, but like, what do you feel about protein? Like, I mean, just talk about protein, like as far as the food source.
Sure, sure. So I look at protein and like if I would, I guess, make a comparison between meat and vegetables, it's I would say like it comes down to a frequency. Um, that the energy that I get from the protein, the amino acids, those things in the meat, to me, whenever I eat it, and it might not just be that so much. There's also a lot of other things that go into it as well. And it's hard to say when you're eating, meat, noticing just the protein effect from it. Besides feeling like, oh, when you are protein deprived, you know that feeling, and then when you eat the meat, you feel better or whatever. But I just noticed meat was just kind of slowing me down. That's just what I felt.
Okay.
Was I felt like my energy was dragging down when I would eat meat, or I would feel kind of sick. My body just does not really like it. I really enjoy it, and like I probably could still have it occasionally and be fine. But it's just kind of a choice for my body, for my own cleanliness too, because also I just know more often than not, a lot of the meat is very unclean. A lot of the ways
Yeah.
that animals are being kept are very unclean.
Yeah.
And you really have no clue what you're eating a lot of the times. And so it's part of it. I just kind of took myself out of that gamble with my health, because
Okay.
I also have a lot of, health issues in my family on both sides. I'm perfectly healthy, but, I've got, heart disease, Alzheimer's, cancer, all kinds of different stuff. Like most people,
Yeah, and then let me bring something up too. So I watch a lot of videos of African American gentlemen, very extremely well educated, well researched, well read, and all that. And sometimes you hear this ideology of like, the white man is inferior, or the white man has inferior genetics or DNA. And like it's just kind of what I thought of when you said like it runs in your family, because I feel like yeah, like I have the same stuff too in my family, heart disease and lung, alcoholism and all that stuff. So what would you say about like how like just like give me your thoughts on like white people, like we're less melanated, we have less, like we get less of our energy from the sun or whatever, like talk a little bit about that, and like and what do you think about that whole ideology of like, oh well, the white man is inferior? Like obviously I mean I think it's retarded. I mean no offense, sorry to use the R word or whatever, but yeah, talk about that.
I think there's an attempt to prove it scientifically, and I can see it in a sense, like if you have more melanin, that you would be, able to get more of the actual energy from the sun. But it's like, and this also is partially like my like understanding of all these things scientifically, because I'm not a scientist at all.
Yeah.
So I don't. Is it a matter of they have more melanin, or it's just that their melanin is more pigmented in that color, or
Okay. Okay.
is it? That's what I just don't know. First off, I'm just not sure of that one
Okay.
fact.
Okay.
Besides that, if it's a matter of superiority or anything like that, I think that comes out of a fundamental misunderstanding of everything. There is no necessarily superiority in anything. Nothing is more superior or more connected to the source of everything than anything, because everything is everything. Like it's a conundrum that like when you start going down that path, people that say those things usually have a motive. If you really look at the things that they have going on, they have a reason to say that the things that they do, because they have a following, because of things like this, whatever. There are also maybe legitimate facts to what they're saying, like in terms of absorbing energy from the sun. Sure, I could see that in some senses. I just don't understand the science of it enough for me to make hang on. to make an educated statement about it. But
Sure.
I think, I don't know. I think art, when it comes to that alone, the connection with the sun or with the source of life or whatever, all this stuff, like that is something I think that's more felt than that is just given to you. You know, it's not something that I think any creature can feel that, no matter what color they are, or if they're a rock, or if it's a, you know, like
Yeah.
that's where I talk about the kind of misunderstanding comes in. Is this is all the same shit? This is like,
I see.
and that's even like, because I get caught up in like needing to get out in nature and stuff too, because like I live in areas where I have access to nature, but a lot of times in my schedule, I'm in buildings and different things, and it's just never convenient. So I have to go sit, but I have to remember this is all nature. That it feels better to be out in the woods and out of things that are created by man, but it's also still the same.
Dude, it's funny because a lot of people will go out in nature and like feel weird.
Yeah, at the same time, then I feel like totally uncomfortable. I think a lot of
Yeah.
it is where you feel comfortable. It's kind of where you are meant to be in a sense, at least right then. And like you can push yourself and all, but
I just think the stuff that man creates, like the cities and stuff, like
mm-hmm.
I mean, just man is just like we're like a fearful species, like
Yeah.
so
Oh, yeah.
we that's just inherent in the kind of stuff kind of stuff we build. But yeah,
But you see the kind of inherent like trick in that is like we're building these things out of the thing we're trying to run away from. Like
yeah,
the weird thing about it is it's like we're like living in giant crystals and like trees and all this stuff, and like we're trying to get
yeah,
out of the
man.
woods and
Dude,
like
I just want to say I just want to say like I love just like the way you conceptualize things and like how your mind works. Like I really appreciate that,
oh,
and it's
thanks.
just good. Yeah, bro, it's just good to connect with people because
Likewise.
you have a really clear sight. But yeah, something you said that like that I've really actually really been thinking about lately that I thought was really cool. How you brought up was like how nothing's superior to anything.
Mm-hmm.
Cause yeah, like sometimes we want to do that. Like I know, like you know, I have this one energy worker. You know, she's in my profile picture, and I've told a lot of people about her. Like it's sometimes easy to think like she's on this like really high level, but like the thing like she's designed for a specific purpose. I'm like I'm designed for a purpose, and you're designed for a purpose, and if we just do those things, like we'll all get together great. It's not about like, and another thing too is like the waste of energy. Like you can't, it's impossible to waste energy because it's just infinitely flowing through us. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's all we do is block it. That's what we're doing. You know.
Right. Right. That's a really wise perspective, actually. That really is. It's
Yeah.
like, because yeah, you're always gonna be supplied with enough energy to create your blockages because you have an infinite amount of it. But the only thing that ever really can stop you or can stop an infinite flow of energy is it itself, like being, no, I don't want it there. Like
For sure.
even though it's still gonna be there, but like you're you're creating the knot. You know what I mean?
For sure, man. Yeah. But yeah. So talk a little bit about the farm and like what. So it's called Unify Farms, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Just talk about like how this came to you and what's your vision. I mean, you were
Sure.
mentioning it earlier, but yeah, just follow through.
Okay. So basically, it started in September of 2014, maybe a little bit earlier than that. Me and my business partner Tony got together at his at his place and a bunch of friends, and we were all hanging out. And he actually had made some chili and blueberry wine that night. He'd make like 30 proof, not 30 proof, like 30% alcohol by volume blueberry wine. Uh,
Like, so did the chili have like meat in it?
At the time, yeah, I didn't eat meat
Okay.
back then. This is years. It might have, it might not have. I don't remember. I know he eats meat. He still eats meat, but
Sure. You know what, bro? Can we put this on pause? I gotta run to the bathroom.
go for it, dude.
All right, let's put it on pause.
Okay. Okay, so we're paused while he uses the restroom, and I might as well take the time to. Yeah, why not? Oh, there it is.
A lot of water, so.
Yeah, no, I know the feeling.
Oh shit!
I'm
I can't
trying
hear
to.
you. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Did you unpause it?
Oh, here we go. So I turned the sound off on my headphones.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go.
Cool.
So yeah, you guys are eating chili.
We were eating chili and
probably smoking a little something.
yeah, and so so this actually is Tony's idea. It's something he'd been working on. He had this little green notebook, and kind of talked to me about the idea a little bit, and then so I was in school for photography around this time. And so we ended up walking out to his machine shed, and then we talked about it a little bit more, and he asked if I wanted to be involved in it. I was like, it sounds really interesting. Maybe I could do like some photography or something for you. Some of the media, maybe, I don't know, just help out however I can. And just kept hanging out with him and building up the idea. And then he asked me if I wanted to go into business with him and do it. And I was like, sure, that sounds like a great idea. And we incorporated first out of Nevada as an LLC, and we had that one for a year and didn't really do too much with it. We had kind of been trying to build up our business model and figure out exactly what we were trying to do. And then we eventually came into we found some friends who wanted us to like do like a sustainable farm on their property, a little organic farm. So we started doing that, and we made some money from doing farmers markets and stuff. We had made a nonprofit in Illinois, and then pretty much moved. My buddy Tony moved from that place to this music festival venue called Astral Valley. And he was there for like a year and some change. We were going to build a greenhouse there, and things just didn't work out with the people there. And we ended up, from that, we actually met some friends from the network that we made there, met some friends, and we're on their property now, where we actually built a greenhouse. They went in on it with us and like helped us get it going. And it's the one we're going to do the food forest, the permaculture food forest on, and kind of base some operations in the area from there. So that's kind of where we've been and where we're at right now.
Sure. So was the farm was it gonna have like animals on the farm, like cows and like chickens?
Yeah. So I personally don't eat those things, but I know a lot of people do. And
do you eat eggs?
I don't. No.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eggs are like my big one to draw. They're my favorite thing, but I would notice then like I'd eat eggs and then get sleepy from eggs. That's kind of like my gauge for things.
Yeah.
Like if I eat it and like if I feel sleepy within 10 or 15 minutes, not to say that like a lot of things you eat don't make you do that for sure, but it's a different feeling. You know what I mean?
No, I feel like that's also too, like the chicken could have some kind of hormone or antibiotic injected into it. And I think that's what that is. I think that's
and that's the other.
It's like people who say they get vaccines and they one of my coworkers like a week ago, he's like, yeah, man, like I went to my doctor and like he told me to get the flu vaccine, so I did. And like I just went home and went straight to bed and like I was knocked out. It's like, bro, like people need to wake up. Like if it makes you that tired, it's like, I don't know. It's just common sense, bro. Common sense.
Yeah. Vaccines are a tricky one because it's like on one hand.
Yeah, I don't even want to go there because
I know
it's too controversial now.
It's so controversial, dude.
Yeah.
It's like I see the benefit in them, but there's also it is a double-edged sword because on one hand, I could see the science in it and why it works and why it makes sense. Yes. Okay. The second is that they're also putting a whole bunch of other shit in there that doesn't make sense.
Yo,
That's
have you
not
seen
good
that?
for you. That
Did you see
also wipes you out.
Yeah, did you see the Robert De Niro? Do you see that?
Huh.
So Robert De Niro, he sat with John F. Kennedy's, like, I guess his brother, I think, or something.
Uh-huh.
Who's like the head? On this anti-vaccine kind of tirade. So Robert De Niro said he'll offer like 10 grand, I think it was, to anybody who can provide proof that putting thimerosal, which is mercury, the mercury derivative in vaccines, anyone that can prove that that's safe, like through a study, like he'll give them 10 grand.
Yeah, exactly. That's my thing with it. It's just there's some science there, some things that make sense, but there's also some things that don't quite make sense. And there's a lot of people that have been getting hurt very shortly after taking them. There's a trend. So it's just a really weird one. It's an odd one. It's kind of creepy.
It just traces back to, like, I mean, what is the beginning of modern medicine, like Western medicine? Like, where does that really get its roots from? Like, I feel like it's more from like mutilation, like, like lobotomies. People actually used to get that. Like, think about that, like a corkscrew in their brain. Like, it was like mutilation, bro. It was like, I think it was from like Nazis. I think, like, Bayer, the pharmaceutical company. That was like a Nazi. I mean, I'm not saying that's what it is anymore, but if you look on, all you have to do is go to Wikipedia. You see Bayer. I don't know if you knew that. Like, started in, like, from Nazi Germany. I was like,
yeah, it does totally. Did you watch there's a 3-hour video that Sevan's channel, like, it wasn't him that made it, but that was the Secret Society Diaboli one or whatever.
Yeah.
But that one was really good.
I love that one. I don't know how I don't know, like, because I love that one. Go ahead.
Yeah, there was a lot of facts, a lot of evidence in that one that I've seen in other places that like, some things, yes, it's kind of but it's like when there's so much a massive amount of surrounding evidence around it that's really, really hard to deny. It's kind of like a lot of the other assumptions and things, they make a lot of sense. But I don't know. I mean, it's fucked up. Like, at the beginnings, a lot of these corporations, it's got a really, really dark, fucked up history that's absolutely real. At the same time, a lot of those companies and corporations were forced into it. But a lot of those same people that were like at the heads of those companies were also at, like, the heads of, like, different shit starting up with that whole thing, so.
And then this is a little piece of wisdom that I pick up from, do you know who Brother Polite is?
No.
All right. So you and everybody listening, like, you guys should check out, his name's Brother Polite. And one thing he talks about, that I picked up in his videos is, like, like, the word pharmaceutical comes from pharmakeia, which and that's, like, even that word's even in the Bible, and it means, like, sorcery. And then, like, he talks about, like, Rite Aid, which is like one of those pharmaceutical distribution companies. It's like why is it not RIGHT? It's RITE, which is like rite or like ritual. So, like, doing a ritual with the pharmakeia. And I feel like I mean
with your with Hearn and your caduceus,
yeah. But man, I mean
they've got your scepter.
Yeah, right. But I mean like the poison is antidote. I mean, like, about, like, homeopathy. Like, have you tried that stuff?
Homeopathy,
like the cell salts.
I haven't tried the cell salts themselves, but there's other therapeutic things I've tried as well.
I mean, like, you just take it's a tiny diluted dose of whatever it is, lobelia or whatever, any kind of herb out there. It's like a tiny diluted dose. You take that, and then it teaches your body how to fight it off. So
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the kind of thing, like, people will dismiss as like, oh, that's pseudoscience.
No, it's like, even like essential oils, people will brush that off, but like there's definitely a science to it.
Yeah, dude. Who knows how humanity got so screwed up and lost?
There's a lot of indications as to why, but it's hard to tell which one specifically besides all
like,
of them.
yeah, so like I have my like I have my kind of what I hold to as to why everything that's happening in the world is going on and like why we're here. Like if I had to ask you, like, why would you say like we're sitting on this planet? Like why is this planet here? Like why are humans here? Like what are we? I'm not talking about outside of Earth. I'm not talking about other planets and like aliens. I just mean like specifically this planet. Like, you know, why is this happening? Like what is this all for? I just want to ask you.
To experience.
To experience? Like, is there a purpose? There has to be a purpose.
I think that is the whole purpose. Like that's the whole thing. I think it's like literally the experiences that I've had, I really do believe that this place is something that we've all collectively imagined from like a higher state of what we are, or a more cohesed state of what we are.
Well, you said it comes from higher and lower earlier.
So that's the thing. It's like it's both, because it's like it's all the same thing.
It's like to experience everything at once, almost, right?
I feel like it's a matter of like, I feel like this whole place is more created from within. It's not something so much we're sitting on as so much for something we're sitting in.
Okay.
I feel like that it's just weird one to put in words, but it's like we, in certain states of our being, have like kind of like laid out certain like archetypes of our personality, or that there just are those essences here in some senses, and we're just kind of breathing through it, through those waves even. I don't know. But
so why was the human created? Like what? Like
why? Yeah.
Like why was the human created? Like
I think
like to me, I feel like, and I've read this somewhere,
mm-hmm.
that like there was like almost like a disagreement within different subspecies or something,
Mm-hmm.
and like then the galactic committee, as it were, like came together and said, okay, we're gonna create this. Like I've heard the story, maybe you have too.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're gonna create this being that mixes the reptilian DNA, like the mammal DNA,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna have it all in one, and then we're gonna let them kind of figure it out. I mean, obviously, like I feel like the primary is like the monkey, like the mammal.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have like bird genetics, we have reptile genetics, we have fish genetics, we have, you know,
all of them.
We even have parasite genetics,
yeah.
You know.
I think that's where it is I think we stand in the middle of all of it. I think that's a weird thing for us to accept, is like that we kind of do stand like in it as a bridge for like a lot of these species and these things. If we're going to think about why is the human and what is the human, but you think about like what do you think about things like I think it's like it's minerals, it's like minerals and like this whole agreement of bacteria and all these things to like agree to a higher state of morality, or noble morality, or something. It's like nobility in action, and that we can actually be stewards of the environment, as well as, you know, experience whatever we want, but that ultimately like we can serve other functions within the, you know, natural matrix or whatever to transmute energies. And to actually try to ask these questions. Like this is I feel like what we're talking about is actually just generating something, and it's generating like this is generating energy between the two of us. Like this is being placed somewhere. It's got, everything has its place, you know?
Sure.
So I think that that's what we're here to do, is we're here to like have eyes to see, have a mouth to speak, have ears to listen, to take it all in, to experience, to collect information, so that the self can see all of the parts of itself. Like, well, how else would you experience infinity, I guess, in some senses? But it's like, how would you do it, like, and be able to chill on it, like be able to smoke a joint? How would you be able to do it in style?
Yeah, there's no way.
Like, there's always this novelty aspect, and that's what I'm saying, is there's this novelty. That's a big part of it. Is it's so old, it's so forever, it's so ephemeral, like that it can chill. You know what I mean?
So like, and I have this question, like, and I ask people this sometimes, like, do you think there will be, and like I've heard different things, but like, do you think there will be a point, like however long in the future, that like everything will be at peace? Like there won't be conflict, there won't be disagreement, like there will still be like motors and cogs functioning, like driving things forward, but we will be at peace and we won't have conflict. Like, do you think that's realistic, or do we need conflict to, to progress?
This is also a really interesting question, because it seems like just as much as progress is the fuel of the reality, so much as it is division. Just as much so, it seems. That's another weird thing is like about accepting and like really like fully accepting the like nature, like in its constant pursuit of destroying itself. So I think about things like war. They're horrific. I hate war. I would very much like there to be no more war. But at the same time, like I've heard, so I try to combine some of the perspectives I hear as well as the ones that I feel. And, one that I've heard is that, it's all, if we're all just trying to experience literally all possible experience, the full spectrum of experience, then, you would want to know what it's like to get shot, and then to be the man that's taking care of the dude that's getting shot, and then be the dude that shot the dude. And like, if you're everything, because there's literally like, that's what if you would consider as a god or as a whatever, as a source of everything, is everything literally. So like, who are you to judge that? That's your misperception in some senses, in a way. But at the same time, it's like, we're also like that thing itself, like recognizing that this is not something that feels good. It's not something that we want in our little petri dish. So I feel like there's ways as beings to be dynamic and explore, perhaps, if there are ways to actually see those realities or experience those realities that do have that, where there is like some kind of peace, or there is something even new to the thing itself. Like, there's nothing new under the sun. Even Sevan says we'll go beyond the sun. Well, like, that's kind of the thing. It's like, well, when you go beyond the sun, how do you teach the universe something new to itself?
Oh, yeah.
So there's like, how do you teach something new to the paradox when everything is within it, So when like all the lessons are there in some senses, but I think that's kind of what we're here to do. That's what I think is part of it, is the joke in a way. Like, our thing is like to find it. Maybe we'll never find it, but we'll have fun doing it.
Yeah.
Gonna have something to do. Isn't immortal in a dream forever. I don't know. I don't know how to phrase
Dude,
it
like,
exactly.
so the homie Daniel Pendergrast, you know him on Facebook?
Daniel Pendergrass. I can't say that I do.
He went on this like little stringent of Facebook statuses like a couple months ago, but it was what he said was perfect. Like, I hope he listens to this. What he was saying was perfect. It was like he was saying all these paradoxes, like unlimited, but able to impose limits upon itself for experience, and like this way, but able to do this exact opposite thing to enable progress. And like, yeah, like that first thing I just said is kind of what came to mind. Like, we are able to like place limits on, like what we're able to do, but I feel like it serves the purpose.
Yeah.
But,
and then so even thinking about it, like, there had to be a lot of division to create you. There was a heck of a lot of division.
I know. I see what you mean.
That took place to bring you into this world. You know what I mean? So it's like a fundamental part of the paradox. Like,
that's true.
You see what I mean? There's it's coming together and going apart. It's the what's the Euclidean and non-Euclidean geometry kind of aspect to it. It's like something gets like interpenetrating itself. You know what I mean? Yeah. I wish I could just like draw a picture of what I saw the other night.
Oh, okay.
It's like, you're back.
Yeah, yo, I want to talk about that dream that you were.
Yeah, dude, definitely. There's no doubt.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Yeah, so I'll just tell the dream for people just to know, and then you can elaborate on it. But yeah, like I had this dream of Chris was at my house with his girl, and they're moving like slow. Like, we were trying to smoke some DMT, and him and his girl were moving like slow mo, and I was getting kind of anxious. Like, come on, like, it was slow mo, and then like we were gonna smoke some deems, and they're like, no, we're gonna smoke some dabs first, and then they had like this little vape pen, which Chris said Yeah, they actually have a vape pen they use. But yeah, I don't know. What's your take? Like, what do you get out of that? What do you get out of that? Like,
I think that's funny. I think it like, if you think were to compare two things like that, like Deans and dabs, it's like, that's kind of like if you were on Deans, like if you're somebody on dabs, it seemed like they're like moving in slow-mo. But at the same time, even then, like Deans, you're really not moving around too fast either.
yeah.
So,
Well, do you like getting high before you like blast off?
it's a totally different experience.
Yeah, exactly. It is.
Totally different. I prefer for it to be clean, for it to just be purely by itself. I feel like it's easier to get a handle on. It's better. It's easier to focus, because I find it's very much one that, like, if you can really get your breath just right and get your focus just right, you can really work with it. But sometimes things, like, you take other things with it, that other frequency, like you focusing on that other feeling. That's what I'm saying. The other feeling of the other thing you're on, just your mind having to process that information and that frequency, I feel like can sometimes, it's not that it's necessarily a bad thing. It's just like where you want to go. Do you want to go on it with this combination, or do you want to go on it by itself? It literally is. It's like, what is your, because you can do it with different combinations. I've done it with, like, with LSD before, and like, that's a whole other experience in and of itself. So like, it's like, literally where you want to go with it.
Well, like the thing is, like the pot nowadays is so strong that I mean, you're already smoking that, like, that really strong, and then to add another catalyst on top of that, it's like, wow, that's really a lot for just consciousness. Can knock you off balance. Yeah.
And even a little bit of cannabis anymore for me is very active. Like, I can get into meditation, or I can like stare at a point and start to see like some patterns, and like start to, I mean, like, I'm a person, like, I can always see energy normally. Like, I can always see like a static in the air, and like, so when I take anything, generally like that becomes like more amplified, and then like I'll start to see like a pattern or whatever if I start staring at something.
For sure. So, and let's talk about something. So, like, I'm like personally, like, I'm I guess you could say anti-cannabis. Like, I don't feel that it's holistic. And like, I don't smoke anymore. But like, what are your kind of thoughts on what pot does to us? Like, do you think it's here for us to use? Like, I mean, maybe not even smoking, like just an edible, because we all know smoking's bad for you. But what about just like an edible? Like,
sure. I think this is a great question as well, because I think
it's so high, everyone's talking about it right now.
It's such a hot topic too, and that's the thing, is it's different for everybody. Just like, I think everything is different for everybody. Like, some people don't like toast for breakfast. You know what I mean? Some people don't like marijuana butter on their toast for breakfast. I don't know, but it's all, I think, a matter of preference, and also like what you know about it, and just how you're applying it. I think there's everything is medicine, I've kind of find, and like, so it's just a matter of how you're applying it, and if you're doing it in a balanced way for you, and recognizing when you're not, if that's what it is, and being honest about it, and owning it, and then whatever.
Yeah, like that's another thing. Like, that's kind of how I am too. Like I feel like as long as people like can acknowledge, like, yeah, I mean, it's a crutch, I know I should be doing it. Like, I feel like you're at least in decent shape, because it's such a hard thing. I mean, think about it. Whenever you tell someone, like, yeah, I quit weed, they always say good for you. So obviously there's some part that it's good to not necessarily be using it.
I think people say that a lot of times. Also, anytime you quit something, good for you, because like, you're quitting something. Like, when you're quitting something, you're usually like, I'm giving that up, something that's taking your energy, something that's not working for you. So I can feel like that is that's one part of that. But no, that is a real thing though too, because it is good for you in some sense, like, it as well, because it is a difficult thing to do, and for the reasons that you're doing it for. I commend that as well. Like, that that's just the thing, is any intention you make, if it's a strong intention for you, and this is what you feel that your experience needs, that is what your experience needs, and there's nobody that can tell you really otherwise. And that's absolutely, you're right, and I absolutely respect that. You know what I mean? And for me, it's sure, I could be honest about it and admit that it is a little bit of a crutch even for me in some senses. So like, but I'll be straight about it, but it's also something that as like an artist, it really is a really wonderful thing for me to get tuned in to. Like, if I'm really stressed out about things, it's a way to I can take literally just like a toke and just be like, okay, reset my mind a little bit and get inspired from that.
Dude, weed really does like it amps me up. Like, I don't
Oh
know.
man.
I don't
Yeah.
do it anymore, but like it really like the shit starts flowing. Like, it amps me up.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
totally.
I mean, hopefully that's not like just the chemicals they're treating it with. I don't know. Maybe
I
it
think
just
about
seems.
that too. That's another, actually, a huge topic that a business associate of mine brought up to me, because he is really involved in the cannabis industry, and in the soil and in the fertilization and all of that, and like in the organic part side of it, and even like the inorganic side of it. He's trying to introduce his techniques is to keep people from using this harmful shit. But there's a lot of stuff that's really is not good for you. It's not regulated. And a lot of times, yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And that's another thing. It's kind of like with me with the meat. I was like, I was not really sure what exactly it was that I'm getting. So that's something I would like to change in the future, because eventually I would like to be in the industry myself and be, like I was kind of saying earlier with the food and all that. I'm trying to find more ways, at least for myself, to get closer to something that I trust to take into my body and be able to share that with others, because I think
Yo,
that's
dude, you
really
know what?
important.
I gotta run I gotta take a bathroom break.
Go for it.
All right, bro.
Hanging on here.
So, yeah, man.
Some water.
For sure. Yeah, man. Speak on how like doing specifically than smoking something that you rolled.
Wait, smoking what? Say that again.
Okay, speak on how dabs affect you differently than like smoking something that you rolled up.
Uh, Quite differently. Dabs actually do like quite like that's more like where the slowing down I definitely notice comes in.
Okay.
But at the same time, it depends. I've noticed with pot, no matter what type you take, it depends on the dosage, and like there's certain dosage level that'll like give you more energy, and then if you go just a little bit above that, it's gonna make you tired or have you couch locked. So dabs, there's definitely a couch lock stage to it, like just a little bit in, like it's kind of like light and stimulating, um, and I don't
Dude,
know.
like dabs used to make me feel like really cool. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, yeah,
Like
and it's
like
just yeah.
chill, kind of chilly, like cool, really cool. That was
Hmm.
interesting about that.
Yeah, it is a whole physical sensation to it that's totally different than smoking. I think it's something from the actual, I guess, just the way that you're actually taking it in, like from a needle, melting on the rig or whatever, for like the goo melting on the
For
dam
sure.
melting on the rig or whatever, like
Yeah,
that
man.
intense heat. I think it's like something it's like feels very, it's like something that's very like really intense about it. Like I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just gonna
Yeah, honestly though, like just be honest, like I don't know. I just don't really want to stay on this topic that much longer.
sure.
I don't know. I feel like it gets kind of boring.
Yeah, of course.
But that's cool.
Everybody talks about it.
Let's see. Let's see. I mean, so another thing like that I kind of I was thinking about discussing with you is like exercise, like workouts.
Uh-huh.
I was like a long time gym member, but like I stopped for a little while just to kind of do home workouts, like sit ups and pull ups and what, not really pull ups, but like sit ups and like push ups and stuff. But I recently got back into like actually going to a gym, and like I've been loving it. And like I don't know, I heard this thing once that this guy was saying like the original purpose of like gyms, why they were created, was like in ancient Greece for like, you know, homosexuals to like admire each other. So that really turned me off from gyms. But speak on like your workout routine. Like, do you go running? I mean, I haven't really been running lately because it's too cold out.
Yeah, I kind of hibernate a lot in the winter. I do a lot of yoga. Yoga is my big thing.
Okay.
That keeps me. Um, it's not like it doesn't keep you like super cut. I'm not like doing hours and hours of yoga a day. You know what I mean? But
Yeah. It doesn't get cut.
I'm not a huge fan of running, to be completely honest. I enjoy it once in a while, but like in terms of like doing it like all the time, that's kind of what I mean. Like I'm not like a weekly runner per se. Um, but I'll do my own like sit-ups, push-ups. I've got one of the bars for your door and stuff too.
So
But
like so like what kind of so like how often do you work out? Like how many times a week?
not a ton, to be honest.
Not a ton.
I've like grown up kind of going in and out of working out,
But
like working
you
out
don't
hard.
seem you don't seem like your body type doesn't seem like you'll put on weight.
No, I have an insane metabolism, and my body's like, it, like literally like keeping up with my yoga has really helped a lot. Like with keeping up my muscle tone and strength and stuff. I still feel strong. I still feel like I can run pretty fast, and like for a while, I've been able to retain my level of fitness. And I know like it's nothing compared to like what if I was really working out hard, what it would be.
Yeah.
Um, so like I know that like this summer I kind of like plan on kicking my own ass a little bit more. I've
Okay.
uh, I've been just kind of like spending a lot of time trying to get a lot of stuff in my head figured out, like with
Yeah,
business
I
and all
feel
this
that.
stuff that I just literally like any amount of extra time that I've had, I've been like so focused on getting that stuff figured out
Yeah, I
or
feel that.
worked out that like that's to be honest has like consumed my past few years.
Okay.
But when I do like work out, like I'm also really active too. Like me and my lady, like we like to go, on hikes and stuff all the time, and, like take our dog for adventures and shit. So like we go out in nature a lot. And I work like I do physical work, so I'm active all the time.
Sure.
But I'm not like lifting weights and stuff so much anymore. I used to
Yeah.
do that more, but not so much anymore.
Sure. See, I wanna go into a little segment about like supplements and stuff, but
Hmm.
like, I guess kind of my intro into that was just like what kind of, I mean, I guess you don't work out a whole lot, but like in the times that you were working out, like what kind of supplements, like, you know, Sevan kind of was telling people about creatine and like
Hmm.
amino acids, like what kind of supplements do you feel uh assist you like with your workouts,
Sure.
or
Um,
just even regular diet, like what kind
yeah,
of food? Yeah.
sure. Well, specifically with the creatine and like protein and stuff like that, I actually do a protein shake with creatine in it.
Okay.
About every day or every other day, depending on how active I am. And if I do actually work out or anything like that, I'll definitely get some. Or if I've been like really busy, really active, I'll have some. Other than that, I really liked taking the alkalizer stuff.
Okay.
That's great. The mega hydrate, um, and I don't know, just speaking of Sevan specifically, like the stuff that they had. I did the Ethereum Gold for a while. That was pretty cool. I like that one.
Okay.
Um, other than that,
Yeah, just like
just
supplementation in general. Like, what kind of stuff are you taking right now?
I usually
Or
take.
like that you think it's really important that people should incorporate.
I think some kind of a multivitamin is really good for people to at least get, because like so many people are so nutrient deficient and so many different things.
Yeah.
It's like just buying one thing. A lot of times for a lot of people, like the reality of their situation is they need a lot of different things.
And dude, even I like just to kind of bring this up, like I thought I ate really like I thought I ate a lot, like very healthy, until, you know, Noah, my friend from Hawaii, who we may or may not get to in this conversation, but she's in my profile picture and all that. You know, we can talk about her, but she came in. She was like, she when she was working on my body, specifically on this one point, like right in my hand here,
Uh,
like she was like, if you notice, like, let me see how well you can see that. Yeah, so like right here, kind of in between the pointer finger and the thumb.
Yeah.
She was like pressing on that point, and I was like, oh my god, it's so painful. Like, just stop. And then she, after she was done doing that, she was saying like, so like, kiddo, you're nutrient deficient. And I was like, wow, what? Like, that didn't make sense to me. So even I thought I eat very good, but
Hmm.
shit can happen, man.
Yeah, and it can happen in a matter of a week too. It's like and then you get like working really hard, or you like work out and you don't replenish fully, or properly or whatever,
Yeah,
and it can get you, definitely can get you, or it can happen over a long period of time too. And like one specific thing you're kind of missing out, like your magnesium or your calcium, whatever.
yeah,
And
and I want to, yeah, I just want to bring something up. So I was having like a really good conversation with my buddy Dan Trifin,
mhm,
who I went on the retreat with, and he kind of posed this question that he's been thinking of, that kind of wanted me to. I was like, so bro, like, what questions do you have that you need answered? Like, you need the answer to, you need the real answer, because then I can ask, my energy worker friend. And he said, like, well, one of the questions he had was like, like, was what humans needed, like, way back when we were first created or whatever, like the stuff we needed to eat and needed in our diet, like, how has that changed up until today? Like, is stuff we needed then differently than like what we need now? Like, do we need more of something? And like, my opinion, my theory is kind of, you always want to keep it simple, like keep it back to basics.
mhm,
Like like there's minerals you can get just from being out in nature, just getting the sun, just
mhm.
from rubbing rocks or something. I don't know. But yeah, what would you say about that question? Like, yeah,
I think it's a matter, like I kind of was saying earlier, it's a matter of where you want to go, what level of energy you want to hold, and like where you want to be in the tree. You know what I mean? That's kind of like the way that I look at it, is it's your own level of understanding of what you're putting in your body and how that affects you. How it affected your ancestor, you know, like it does have some bearing on you, but not a whole lot. At the same time, it's like there's something you can learn from that, sure, and apply it to your life. But like you got to know what's working for you now, and like yes, in some senses, I see that the logic behind it, like there's maybe different demands because we live in a slightly different world. You know what I mean? But I think that there were probably people back then that maybe like their bodies, they just felt more like they wanted to eat more vegetables and fruits than meats because they literally lived a certain lifestyle. And maybe that there was like the hunters that were, running day and night and needed tons and tons and tons of protein. Maybe that's literally what suited them right there in that particular reality. So I think the thing is I think we're so provided for
yeah,
that there's an abundance of things that are all around us for us to draw energy from, and it's just a matter of us to understand what we're drawing from and why, and what that's going to lead to. You know, I
yeah,
think I think it's a matter of choice. I think is what it gets down to. Is we came here with more than anything, we came here with choice, came here with free will.
yeah. And like,
So
this
yeah,
also makes me think of something that Sevan talked about in his podcast. Like, again, I think it's funny just how much I've taken from him,
hmm
just for me for me to be like, no, I don't listen anymore. But one thing he talked about was like the Western culture, like how how we speak English,
hmm
and just that alone, like, alienates us from like almost the rest of the world.
yeah, a
Just
huge part
because
of
of
the
how,
world.
just because how our brains work. Like, obviously, like, the Japanese or the Arabic, they read their language. Uh, it's like a little bit closer to the ancient language, I think.
hmm
So yeah, but as opposed to like English, it's kind of like a more blockish. Like you said, like it moves like a block in your mind.
hmm
Um,
Well, it all moves like a block in your mind, though. That's the thing. The
yeah,
the Arabic and the Hebrew and all that, it's from right to left. The English and all this stuff is from left to right. It's a hieratic and demotic script. It's the
okay,
priestly and the kingly language. It's two sides of the same coin, koan, king, cube, whatever you want to call it. It's just they're putting their spin on the cube, the paradox. They're just literally just saying it's theirs. They're coining it as theirs. This is where I get into like where I'm talking before about us like all being at this level where we're imagining this together. It's like we're all also going to put a twist in it. We're all like going to happily battle each other Because like when you see it at that level, like your worst possible enemy is also your greatest friend. At that height, at those levels where we're all the same thing, it doesn't
Dude,
matter.
I swear, like I even like I sometimes post these like little thoughts that I have on Facebook, and like one time a while ago I did post that. I was like, I probably have more in common like with my worst enemy than actually my good friends.
Yeah,
Like funny enough.
it's true. It's true. It's your diametric. There's a reason that they're your enemy, and it says a
Yeah,
lot to
like
show you about yourself.
I also can't really imagine like who my enemy would be. That just seems
Mm-hmm.
it just seems silly. Like,
Right.
I don't know. Like I just feel like I want the best for every being. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess the best for the majority might lead to the demise of the minority. So when it comes to restoring balance, so it's like people say like ISIS, this group ISIS terrorist group, like they just need to be killed. Like they need, they need to be killed, and like that's what it's kind of true. Like some parasites, I mean, I don't know, parasites actually have a job, but some forces just need to transmute or just I don't know.
I think if they were to see the thing that they're searching for in their pursuit, in their holy pursuit, they would stop fighting. I think we just need to just give everybody that's fighting war right now some DMT.
Yeah, right.
And
No,
stop it.
my buddy
Just all at once.
my buddy Travis said like the funniest shit. He's like, he's like, it's just rain ayahuasca.
Right, exactly. That's the whole thing. And like, but that's I think also part of it, dude, is like that's the potential we also have, is to be able to go that deep into it and repair it and to heal it and to stop that and to like, there's a story here. And that's what I've noticed, is there's like the story of like this whole Kundalini thing of like the cycling through the chakras. It's like this like the fallen one and then the return to bliss. Like there's a cycle here. There's a story that is being portrayed through all of our lives. And I think it's all like what's mixing up together, but that story is there. And that's something that I feel like that also is part of what our purpose is to understand one is to experience the story, to experience our divinity through manifestation, through our own manifestation. And then got lost in the divine manifestation.
Yeah, man. The thing I hate about like all the new age stuff is that you have all these stories about our past and humanity and who we were and who we are, and there's just all these too many stories out there, bro. It's like and like that's what I love about this particular woman that Noah in my profile picture. She knows like all these stories, like she can tell you about the period in the history of humanity that this happened and it caused people to do this, and now we're doing this, like and that's what I love, and that's what we've lost touch from. You say there's all these stories running that are present in who we are today. Like I want to know these stories. I really want to feel them. It's like, and the thing about this Noah as well, like, and you can take this people can take this however they want, but like she actually has like a relationship with the man, like Jesus Christ. Like she said and she said when she was younger, like she's like, yeah, Jesus first came to me when I was however old she was, and she has a relationship, and she'll tell me stuff like Lent, like the time of Lent is coming up, and she's told me in the past, like Lent is a time to really like she said, like walk in Jesus's shoes, like felt what he felt like when he went through the crucifixion and all that. And like I mean, I realize there's a lot of anti-religious people out there, but I mean, who may not buy that or whatever, but I think there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, like I want to know these stories, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want it to just be mythology. I want to know why there's this, like, why there's this story.
But that's the whole thing. Is that
I mean, you get so much more out of this timeline, right? I mean,
right?
If you know what, I don't know.
I think it's something that like even Sevan and a few other people I've heard touch in on is it's a lot of these stories, they come from what I feel is like it's an inherent story. It's like a pantheon of frequencies, energies, archetypes, like starlight kind of like crossing and reflecting on each other. It's like a, you know, or like the whole, the 100th monkey kind of thing, that the monkey's typing on the typewriter. Like it's,
maybe think like the Socrates, like he's looking at the shadows and he's trapped in the cave.
yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I've gotten into this topic with somebody else before, and we brought up that exact same example. Cause it's like
all this stuff's going on, but unless you can get perspective enough to step outside and be like, guys, this is what's actually happening. And that, I feel like that's like what we lack. I mean, not that we lack anything, you know what I'm saying? Like we don't lack anything, but that's what we're disconnected from at this particular era is the perspective to just see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And I really do, man. Like, I mean, I'm all for, you know, living the mystery, bro. I feel like there's amazing things, and just trusting the mystery and trusting that there's things that we aren't going to know, because that gives an excitement and a flavor to life. But there's also a lot of things, and like, bro, and like I have to bring something up that I heard that this girl, when I was in Hawaii, I was on the farm with this girl, and I honestly don't remember what we were talking about, but there was some question that I asked her about, like, would you know what I said was, so what do you think happens after you die? And she's like, well, the thing is, like, I don't want to know. Like, I don't want to know what happens after I die. And like, from that, like, I didn't really say it to her face or anything, but I was reflecting on it afterwards. I was like, how would you not want to know? Like, I mean, you get a lot more out of life, but there's certain things. And like I was saying, like, I believe, like, live the mystery, you know, embrace the mystery, embrace that there's things you won't know. But at the same time, like, if there's things that you don't know that you could know that would enhance your life that much more, like, why not try and figure that out? And, you know, I believe that we can get the answer to any question.
That's true. At the same time, it's also like, when it gets back into the whole purpose for each other's lives and all that stuff, is like, maybe there is a part of our being that literally doesn't know because it already knew. Like, it already is. If that's like some sense of it, it's like some people just want to eat cheeseburgers and chill because they were in some kind of corner of hyperspace battling some crazy shit, and they found this juncture and they're like, oh fuck, I need to like just enjoy this for a little while. No, I don't want to know that. Leave me alone. I don't want to know about that because I'm going to start going to that reality. And like, you never know, dude. Like, I've come to realize people are not at all what they seem. Like, people are vastly different creatures than they appear on the level of their skin. Like, they're connected to so many different things that you have no idea when you're getting in on a person. Like, you have no idea what fucking juncture or corner of hyperspace they just came from.
I swear,
you have no idea. No idea.
I love how you put that too. Like,
it's like the same things. Yeah, it's like the same thing as like people that like look down on people with like handicaps and different things. Like, people like with like certain diseases, you have no idea. Like, you know, they literally might just be a hypersentient being, literally just peering through the dimension. They're just kind of in this person, just like,
right.
You know,
I mean, we are all that.
Yeah, basically, that's what I'm saying. It's like that's what we are. It's like, who are we to judge it? You know what I mean? It's just like,
I know. Like, I heard like an amazing point brought up. This girl Nikki, I watched her video really briefly, and she was saying, like, I think it was her, but she was saying, like, you know, I hope she watches this podcast, but she was saying, here, let me think, like, so, okay, so you were born with like an abnormality, and you could just get plastic surgery, right, and just get it corrected and fixed. But that's not what creation is asking of you. Like, creation itself is asking of you to integrate, you know, the inharmonious parts, and to that are damaged, and to heal that. Like, that's what's being asked of you. And it's like this whole thing with, like, if you get your arm cut off, you know, there's still going to be, like, some Sevan taught me again, like, if you get your arm cut off, there's still going to be like a shell, like an etheric arm is still there. You know.
Oh yeah, I've heard him talk about that before as well. Yeah, it's like there's like a ghost arm, and I've seen documentaries and stuff on that. The people, they still feel like it's still there. They'll feel like touching something, and they're not touching anything. And they'll wake up and feel like they're gonna like itch their face, and it's just numb.
Yeah, nub. Yeah. Yeah, but dude, on a side note, like, I don't know if you saw Jacob's status, but he was saying, like, do you think like you can feel someone's energy through like through like a computer or like a phone. And I totally think you can, because like I think
Yeah.
right now we're doing it. Like,
Oh yeah. That's the whole thing of like this whole like non-locality kind of concept of like the paradox and all this stuff is like, well, of course, like it sounds like we're all connected. So it's like, it's a matter of how, I guess, how are we perceiving it or feeling it, maybe in
yeah,
some senses. Because like, it could be just a matter of like literally the words I'm saying, the micro expressions, all the stuff that I'm making, obviously that's triggering your natural human subconscious and all that. And that's creating an energetic reaction. That's one part of it. But the other part is like, if we're actually like, literally there's some kind of like tether that's like connecting us, like it will be the same tether that connects everything, So it's kind of like, you can like logically kind of deduce how that might be connected, I suppose. That's another thing that you were kind of talking about your friend, and it started making me think about was about this this concept I've talked with other people about of like that like it's the consciousness is it's like one field that's pervading everything. It's like it's one try to give you like a visual for, I guess this is the closest like one would be like, like Alex Gray's artwork with the faces and like the infinite kind of like that goes in like a huge like, I guess like a room of it, or like
eyes, right?
Yeah, with the eyes, like so like that, like being a field that's kind of making everything. You've probably seen that on beams, and it's like that kind of
I have, yeah.
Yeah. So like, okay, so you know what I'm talking about. So like there's like that is like the natural. If you want to talk about where we go when we die, I feel like that's it. It's like back to where we realize and remember that place where we're everything, and it's like not such a big deal that we're dead. It's like, oh no, okay, well we're everything. Like what's up?
Right.
It's like we're all back. Like, what's up, bro? What's up?
Right. And
It's
like, yeah, bro. And like, let me
like just like we're talking right now, like that other side of that whole thing, just like we're just like chilling.
We are, bro. And like, and that's it. Like that's the thing. Like
that's how we're connecting right now. That's what I mean. That's the point of what I was trying to say.
Okay, bro. Yeah, like, and there's stories out there that talk about like, man, it's just like it's sad that to hear all these stupid stories, silly stories, but you hear authors or people trying to write about spirituality or metaphysics talk about like the trap of like reincarnation being a trap, like how we're being forced to come back here even though we don't want to. But it's like that's not really how it works, because
that's a trap in and of itself.
Yeah, like the thing is like when you die,
like
yeah, like if you're all self, like if you really are everything, like if you die, you're just gonna return to that.
Yeah, this place is a gift.
that's
the whole perspective.
It's like a module, or like a training, like a module.
That's part of the whole like what's MK Ultra New Age like whole program thing is like the whole Anunnaki like whole thing of us being created as slaves for gold and all this bullshit.
Yeah,
like,
dude, I know
that might be true, but I think that's like okay. It actually might be true on some plane or dimension, but like, I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I feel like we're a little bit like maybe we punked ourselves like that. Like that's part of this whole self-created thing. It's just like literally just been a joke on us the whole time. Like just finding different ways to make it as crazy as possible. And I wouldn't put it past it.
And everything is like a joke. Like at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, you just it's like, yeah, go ahead.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like even like you're saying there, like this joke, like I feel like the cosmic joke or that laughter or that novelty is as much of a force of nature as the sun coming up and going down every day. So it really is kind of how you look at it. Like you can look at it as like, oh, it's this whole trap, or like even in that trap, you're like, oh, well, haha, like there's going to be a way to transmute the situation because we're everything. We can find out another way to do it however we want because we have unlimited free will. So to go figure. Like if we wanted to make it that way, perhaps it could be that way, but I don't think that's what it is right now. I think we have a lot more potential with what we have going on, what we have available to us, than to just like kind of throwing in the towel, like we're just this dumb slave race and that's why we don't have our genes activated. No, I think it's a matter of us deciding if we want our genes activated or not.
Yeah, and like something, yeah, I agree with all that, and like something too, that like my friend Lindsay, I want to do like a podcast with her, but she made this video, mentioning like vote with your dollar, like if you like,
Huge.
yeah, it is. I mean, stop giving money to companies that are. That's really how we change this thing. Like you stop giving money to companies that don't have your best interest, like. That like even like the whole even like Dr. Bronner's, bro. Like I was talking about these African American like scholars that they have all this stuff on YouTube, and one guy was talking about like how his daughter pointed out to him like on the Dr. Bronner's how he writes like a little story on his soap. Like he was touting like this lady named Margaret Sanger that he like donates money to, that he gives money to her, and like they support her. But I guess she was like the founder of like Planned Parenthood, and I think she was like a racist, and she believed in like this population control and stuff. And like it's really like you'd never think Dr. Bronner's would be like a company that would support anything that you would be against, but like that kind of stuff might come up, and it's like you just got to be hyper aware of where your dollar's going.
Yeah, and even then, like they might have even like known all of that in the beginning of like entering in like certain deals too. It's like it's this whole kind of weird perception game, and I really trying to be hyper aware of that going forward as a company myself. Like I have a corporation, you know what I mean? So I have to be really aware of how I'm being perceived. Like even doing this show, like the things that we're talking about right now, like this could have a huge impact on what happens with my business. You know what I mean?
Dude, I swear, and like I've had like one of the girls that went on the retreat with me, Sanaz, like she was giving me the same advice. Like she was telling me like if I want to go online and have a business and sell things, I got to be a little bit more mindful of how I'm presenting myself on the internet. And like for me, like particularly, I don't know for a lot of people, but for me particularly, like that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Because I'm so goofy, I just I want to, and that's like why I tend to get in conflicts with people too sometimes, because I don't know. I'm very like me. It's funny because me and one of my best friends, Nick, like we talk about like how people from Chicago just talk so much more shit. He's like, yeah,
dude, they always do.
He's like when I go to he's like when I go to school at University of Kansas, like I'll like talk shit. Like obviously I don't really mean it, but I'll just like talk shit to someone. They're like, oh, like, oh, does he really mean that? Like,
right, dude.
But yeah, it's like you want to be like that, like just that expressive out there. Like I don't give a fuck. Who the fuck are you? Even if you have my best interests in mind, it's like, who the fuck are you? It's like Sevan. I'll just go into this now while we're on it. Like you're just this dude coming across through a screen. I don't really know who you are, bro. Like I feel like you have walls up. People that I went to the retreat said he had walls up, and it's like I don't know. I'm just kind of like that. But just on back to the topic at hand, like yeah, man, you do. It's like you gotta watch that image, and I think in the long run, it'll be for your benefit. And also another thing too that like you and I won't experience in life, but I've heard from African Americans is like as an African American, like if you want to really go up the ranks, like progress in just this system that I guess you'd call it, like this corporate system, like you're gonna have to suppress that side of yourself that's just like I don't know. I mean, it's a white America, man. Like, you're gonna have, and this is sad because I've noticed that too. You're gonna have to.
It's definitely still real. Racism is absolutely still real in the corporate world. It's prejudice and it's just preference and all that. Yeah, it's fucked up.
And like another thing too is like, is that really racism or is it? Because and there's something I want to talk about too with like this girl Lindsay. Like, I swear I'm gonna do some kind of podcast recording with her, but I even like posted something and I was like, I posted about something that was at like Walmart. It was like racist, and she's like, "There's nothing wrong with racism." I was like what? But I know she's a smart person. She had a reason for saying that. So I want to know more about that. But what can you like maybe chime in about? Like, is that really racism, or is it just we want to be with our own kind? Or
I think fundamentally, I think racism, like in terms of. It kind of depends on how we're defining what racism is. If we're talking about racism in terms of like seeing somebody that's another race, like a different color or culture or whatever, and somehow looking down upon them or thinking that they are less than you because of the way that they are, basically. I think it's ignorant and it's a fundamental misunderstanding of reality
Dude,
because,
sorry to interrupt, but like
yeah,
all race, like any race at any given point in history has like enslaved another race.
oh, of course, of course,
You know, it's just where we happen to be right now that there's a whole black and white. And like, it's like what Sevan
right,
talks about, like
yeah.
Sevan will teach about is how like it's the whole black and white duality, like, you know, just checkerboard, like going back and forth. And then that's kind of what we're at right now.
I think that's one side of it, and then there's also, I think, a certain level of like the cult information like that, like about how it being like about literally being like a white, white and black checkerboard between white and black people. But there's like certain, I don't know, there's just certain parts of my mind I'm not really so sure about how that all breaks down like, alchemically. But it's all just also how you look at archetypes and stuff like that. Knowing Seven, he's looking at the alchemical archetypes. Well, it's a black person, it's a white person. There's the yin, there's the yang. That's where I see Seven making the. But
Yeah. And like something I realized too is I was just kind of, I wasn't actually meditating, but like I'm always meditating in that sense. I was like meditating on it, like what is race? Like what is race? I want to know like what is race? And what it is like what it purely is like it's just a way for us to track our history.
mm-hmm, absolutely, our
You know, I
history
mean,
and our I think our connection to two things, to the actual place on the earth and also to the stars, because
okay,
you notice that there's very particular stars that only, like, people on the other side of the earth, they don't see the same stars that we do at night.
true,
It's
true.
not the same stars, so they see like different systems in different parts of the earth. So you literally, when you think about, i i I kind of get this download one time when I was looking at trees when I was tripping on shrooms, is that trees, they sit there and they absorb so much starlight and information from those stars that they are like in that geographic location, they are like the resonators really of that starlight frequency. Really a lot of the vegetation, but especially the trees, because they're just there for so long.
Yeah,
But I started to see, I could actually see the starlight coming into the trees, then like, and like the trees themselves, like up near the branches, to me it started to look like they were just all just like spirals, basically. Like that's just how they absorb light. It spirals into their spirit.
okay, nice,
So
nice.
like,
I love that. I love
yeah,
that.
so like I could see them absorbing the light. They're like almost like spiral tentacles, kind of like off their leaves, just kind of pulling in these dimensions of light. And I could see how like they're pulling in from the stars, but that's also what we're doing, and at how at any point or on the planet we're absorbing different polarities of that light being emitted, or just being just refracted in a specific way. It just creates a very specific frequency that's absolutely, it's always going to be different than the other side of the planet any way you want to cut it. So it's just a slightly different frequency. So I think that's one thing, partially one I think that creates race and culture, is that like when you think about it, like we're going to talk about like aliens and all this different stuff. I think a lot of it's just like we consider our ancestors like in this, even like this conception that ancestors and aliens are from the future. Like there's always this loop that's created in our minds and in our being, and like that's a repeated story that keeps coming up. And I wonder why. Well, I feel like a lot of like what's up there is also literally just like what's within here, more compressed. It's like because we're self-created from the inside, that's like the former version of ourselves in a sense that was closer to the inside when it was kind of thought up and created. That makes sense?
Yeah, bro. And like as you're describing all this, like something that's coming to mind is like, and I'm sure you've heard of this, is like on your face, like the different points on your face is like that's like your organs. Like your
Yeah.
liver is somewhere, your
Yeah.
pancreas.
And your
Same with your
hand. Same
hand
thing with your
and your,
hand, your
yeah, and your
feet.
foot.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all.
Microcosm, macrocosm.
Yeah, dude, this is
Yeah.
beautiful how that.
So you see that. There's that motif to everything. So it's like that's what I keep slamming back to again and again, is like it's inside, like this, like that.
Yeah,
Like what we are is not something that just came out of some microbe in a puddle that's struck by lightning. We are is something that imagined all of this.
sure.
Truly, what we are.
So yo, I wait. Do I have to use the bathroom? Then I have a question.
Go for it.
I drink a lot of water.
Yeah, no, it's good.
All right. So the question is, do you think there's such thing as a perfect human being? Like you go and then I'll go.
Yeah, everybody's perfect.
Everybody's perfect. What about someone who's like hooked on drugs, like homeless, like they
Yeah,
don't have a family, they don't have,
absolutely.
they're lost, like
We're sitting in perfection. It's like a self-transmuting perfection. It's a matter of like how you're asking the question or the perspective of like.
but Earth is obviously in disarray. Like there's wars, there's disease, poverty, lack, all that, perceived lack. So
But does that make it not perfect?
I mean, it just makes you ask like why is it like this? If we have,
it's kind of like what we were talking. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it is.
It's kind of like what we were talking about before about like, this is the thing I keep coming into is it's like, for as much of this life and beauty and generation, and there's always this theme of this thing trying to destroy itself to like regenerate itself. There's like this theme in nature itself. Like you go in the woods, the trees, like they grow themselves and then eventually they fall over and die. The mushrooms and all these things eat on it, turn it into soil.
So I want to talk about like mushrooms, like specifically, not like psychedelics, like mushrooms in particular.
Sure.
Like psilocybin mushrooms or any type that makes you trip. Like what is the relationship of humans to that? Like why are mushrooms here? Like what information does their DNA hold? And what is their relationship? Like why are they here? Like you may not know the answer, but I just want to
right. From my experience and just like from whatever I can say to answer the question, I don't know everything, but I have a chunk of it. Is that they're here to commingle. They're here to co-create. They're here to teach us really ancient lessons, at the same time make us aware of certain parts of our minds that will make us do absolutely batshit crazy things while we're on mushrooms, like sacrifice thousands of people. Like that's one thing that you can do as a culture on mushrooms. So they're here to provide us.
Wait, what culture are you talking about?
Oh, the Teotihuacan or
they were on shrooms.
I can't remember which culture. Yeah.
Yo, my homie was saying that like all the cultures who took mushrooms became parasitic.
Yeah, and there's actually a huge thing about this. This is another thing about like the nature of like even psychedelics and all this themselves is like there's this parasitic nature of it, like showing you literally everything. Like it's kind of like the apple, kind of like this whole motif of like when you get that, then it's like also something that begins feeding on you in a sense. What I found is that like it's like it's the thing that's it's like it's encouraging you that if you're going to take these things, if you're going to play on these levels, you need to level up. You need to get your energy up. You need to be doing not just by things you eat or take in, but the things that you do. That's what I've realized is the most powerful currency in this universe is your actions.
Oh yeah.
Your thoughts become ultimately it's thoughts, but then your actions are the proof of your thoughts.
I love it. Yeah.
So if you're making strong actions and you're doing tremendously good deeds and you're not doing fucked up things and you're learning from these creatures and you're not letting them take you over.
Nice. I love it.
Then, you're mastering your own consciousness, but you have to recognize when something else is trying to use you to advance its species. But I've done enough different plant teachers, and this is kind of like something you were talking about, like what is marijuana, all these things. Like they have their own agenda. Don't get me wrong. They know what they are. They have their own agenda. They will use you as a conduit to make more of them appear wherever you are. That's their whole gig, is they want you and your friends to do them. That's it. That's literally their whole thing, is they want to be present in this reality.
Yeah.
Now what that can lead to is some really unbalanced situations for certain people, and certain people that are using them in combinations with trying to do things like get money and greed, or there's all kinds of things and ways we get their messages twisted. Where does like eating some mushrooms with your friends and like realizing you're God and everything turn into let's sacrifice all of our friends and throw their heads down the monuments we make to ourselves. Like, but it's part of the full spectrum at the same time. So it's like it's all there for us to learn from. But now that we know all that, like, I'm not saying there wasn't a time when we maybe didn't also know all that. I don't know, just don't know. But I think they're incredible.
What do you know about like the Amanita? I heard like
Amanita?
Vikings took that shit before battle. Made
Oh
them
yeah.
like more. That's the thing about shrooms. It's like obviously it looks shaped like a penis, so it's like
Mhm.
a aggressive energy, like a masculine energy.
Mhm.
But like and then like it's in like Super Mario Bros. It's kind of hilarious.
I could see how eating some of them before battle would like make you have better vision, maybe better visual
Have you
acuity and like courage. It could give you a little bit more courage,
yeah courage?
like you're fighting with purpose.
Have you taken the Amanita specifically? And I heard like you're supposed to put it in a tea, not necessarily.
I've had it. I've had it as a tea, and I've had it smoking it. Um,
What was the tea like?
Tea, I don't think I really did enough,
Oh,
honestly,
okay.
to really notice much effect from it. Smoking it, I've had some effects. I've had like gone like to deeper inner spaces, not super visual, but definitely like a deeper mind and feelings of like of bliss and all that. Like it really enhanced meditation. I noticed, made me feel a little bit more creative and like tapped into another part of myself or something else. Um, and yeah, I did that for a little while with those. I would recommend people at least trying that, like either smoking it or putting it in a tea for a little while. It's really it's a nice if you don't do a whole lot of it, it's also nice. It's kind of a uh, kind of like as a stress reliever, kind of like helps you chill out just a little bit too.
Dude, like, how about that? Like this whole microdosing thing. I found that fascinating. Like, you take a little bit,
Yeah,
and
it's kind of like that. Everything has
it makes you
different.
like
Go
you can be
ahead.
more productive at work, or like one time I was tripping nuts with my buddy and with a couple of my friends, and like we started playing FIFA, and I was like, bro, like shrooms always do this thing where I just feel like I'm so good at this right now, and my buddy's like playing FIFA, he's like sucking. He's like, no, I don't really think that. But, like 10 minutes later, he's like, dude, you're right. Like I feel like I'm so good at this game.
But were you playing any better?
You feel like you are. And then another thing, like my buddy Travis, he's like a shaman in his own right. He's like in love with psychedelics. Like he would tell me about he would be in a conversation with somebody, and then he'll like be like, excuse me for a minute, I gotta go do something. And then he'll go like smoke a little DMT, get some like perspective on the situation. It could be like a little bit much. Like at that point, it's like, all right, bro. Like
I'm going in, guys. Hang
yeah, but
on.
it's like take like a hit, and then you just get a little perspective, and you get back.
Yeah, sure.
The thing for me though, like what I've been realizing lately, man, is the only way I could have quit like all this stuff. It's only been like probably 3 weeks to a month. It's been a month about now, but like I haven't smoked pot. I drank once because my buddy was like, let's go out after work. But I haven't been doing like any of that stuff, and I could not have done it without the help of Noah, like my Noah. But like what I've been realizing is like if I'm on that stuff, if I'm on anything mind altering, like if I like if I have some kind of deep revelation or I have like a really deep conversation with somebody, at some level that's not really me. It's like that's not fully me having that realization and doing that. It's kind of like it's the substance. It's like what you're saying about it's advancing its own agenda. Like
But is it? Because it's you and the substance.
because I think it's escapism. Like I feel like sometimes it can be. I don't
Could
know.
be. I could see
It,
that.
it distances you from yourself and your
Mhm.
purpose.
Right.
And that's why it's sad. I mean, that's why I just feel like it's kind of sad. Like there's a sadness associated with drug use. I don't know.
Hmm. No, I definitely feel you. I've definitely had my battles with this in and out. The
Have you ever smoked like have you ever been like addicted to cigarettes? Like do you smoke
Yeah,
cigarettes now?
I
Yeah.
did.
Do you smoke now?
No, no. I quit not this past December, but the one before that. I,
What's the hardest thing about or like describe like cigarette addiction? Like were you addicted or just like you'd smoke?
oh yeah, no, I was addicted.
Like describe that for people who've never gone through that like me.
Yeah, so for me, it was like both the addiction to the nicotine itself and the act of smoking and the sensation of it, just the whole thing of it. I was addicted to every part of it. And so for me, a lot of it was like, what was motivating me to quit was the amount of control it was having over my mind.
Mhm.
With that particular substance, it would make me like you know, every 15 minutes or every whatever, you got to go outside or you got to take this time. And I was like, realizing, holy shit, it's taking a lot of my time where I'm just taking them, not doing anything, just doing this. So that was one. And then like, I don't know,
Like, what is it that makes it so hard for people to take the action to better themselves?
why is it hard to take the action to better yourself?
Yeah, like it's one thing, like, oh yeah, like the nicotine is addictive, but like
Sure.
you and I both know it's deeper than just like
Oh no, it's totally, that's part of it. It was like recognizing like that there's something that's kind of got a hold of you like that, and that you're using for this reason. So it's like recognizing, okay, well, why am I doing this really and truly? What am I either like, I'm using this to divert my energy in some sort of way for some reason. What am I doing when I'm doing this? I'm like externalizing my own energy or will or thought or whatever into this object that I'm, consuming then, out of kind of like a necessity to get through this thought or this whatever. And it's just like, it was like a continuous kind of crutch that's always there. But man, like,
yeah, like what is it that makes it so hard for us to take the actions to do things that are going to be better for us?
I think it's
Like it's like Noah says, like Noah by now, like she says, like when we came here, we never intended to get caught up like in drugs. Like we never intended to. But before we came here,
but it's like, even though did we though?
Yeah, I mean, she says we don't, and I trust her what she says. So
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. But that's the thing, man. Is like, you also think about it, like we're like all of like great music and stuff like that in history. Like
Right.
who makes that? What comedian makes that really good point?
Yeah, I know what you're talking. Is it
Yeah.
George Carlin?
No. It's the one that died.
No, I've heard that clip.
The other one that died. Yeah.
I've heard that clip.
God, why am I not remembering this?
Is that the dude who people say he's Alex Jones? Is that guy?
No, he's
What's that guy's name?
I cannot believe him. Bill Hicks.
What's
Bill
that?
Hicks. Bill Hicks.
Yeah, Bill. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The guy, he looks like Joe Rogan.
He's like, you might as well take all your music albums and burn them.
Yeah.
So in some senses, I feel like we are, as well as like we're not. Like, it's not good for us, but like in some senses, like there's some people that take that dive, like literally, like that's, God, it's so crazy when you really get into like what our intentions are and the power of intentions of like of an infinite being and like all this crazy shit.
I agree with that, but bro, also consider like how much the whole hippie 60s, 70s psychedelic movement, like peace movement, like fucked up our DNA. Like it's just really like one thing that like it's like a new age. Like I guess Timothy Leary was like one of those kind of new age gurus, and he was like a big fan of giving people LSD. And it's like people would be tripping out, getting high on LSD and pot, like, oh, peace, love, and unity, man. And it's like I had this one trip when I did like a DMT trip, and like I thought about that. I was like, wow, because like my parents even came from, like, my dad was a part of that. My dad smoked a lot of weed. He was part of, to a certain extent, a part of that movement. He's influenced by it. I don't know. Definitely a lot of inaction, but I mean, you understand where it springs from, like.
Yeah, I totally feel you though, dude. There's definitely like a layer of sadness to it that I definitely feel, even at festivals and stuff like that. I'm like, man, like.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that too.
Oh man, that's where I really feel like. So no, I completely understand what you're talking about. It's definitely a feeling I get at festivals where it's like, it's one thing to take your sacrament, but like when you get so fucking spun out that you have no idea what's going on, and like you're doing dumb shit and you're being a wook.
Like why do people do that, bro? Like that's something I ask myself.
I think
why do people get to that point? Like, cause it's hard for me to, maybe it's just too hard for me to conceptualize wanting to be at that place, because I like myself. Like I like being who I am. So it's hard to conceptualize being that twisted. And like, trust me, I've been at a point where like I'm so drunk that like it's like, whoa, dude, just like
yeah,
just do some dumb shit. It's just funny, but like obviously, like I was raised very well with good morals, but like when you see people just acting that weird ass way, it's sometimes difficult for me to conceptualize why they would. Or maybe I've just already been through that phase. Yes.
And it could be that too. And everybody comes into this at different angles. Like a lot of people come into this stuff with different kinds of traumas. And I can definitely say from my own experiences, there's times in my life where I didn't want to be me, where I didn't like who I was and all those things. And like where
Definitely.
if I had come into psychedelics sooner, I probably would have been, you know, a person that would get really spun out at festivals. I came into them at a very perfect time in my life where I was able to just do it in a way that was really not harmful for me.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I think doing psychedelics has been the least harmful and like most mind-opening thing that I've ever done in my life. I've never
Wow.
been hurt from them once. I've never really had a bad trip ever, honestly. I've had some crazy experiences and stuff, but I've never had like a really horrendous experience. So I think part of that, it goes into to information, knowledge, and like some kids like, you know, they're going, they just want to get, oh, I just want to get as trippy as I can. Whoa, but they
Dude,
don't
like
realize
I also
that
feel bad.
what they're taking is like
I
a
also,
ton, and it really is doing damage to their psyche. Like it
like I
really,
feel
you can blow yourself out and go fucking crazy from psychedelics. Yeah, you can. You
I
better be
feel bad for
careful, dude.
people who I feel
Yeah.
bad for people who do like
Oh,
who do shrooms just to get turned and not like
oh man.
for actually exploration.
Yeah, exactly.
I
And
don't know.
that's the whole thing. It's like you make the point of like there is this whole, it's the culture. Is that there's one part of it is like, well, yeah, like it's fun to do these things and stuff together, and we can do them responsibly together and enjoy one another's company. But at the same time, like that a lot of times lead to it being done excessively or leads to it being done in combination, like things with like alcohol. Like the whole
Yeah.
acid wave probably never
Dude,
intended for people to be doing acid and drinking massive amounts of alcohol at
I
the
can
same
never
time.
understand. I can never
Oh my
understand
God.
like why. I can never understand like why you would drink alcohol and then do psychedelics.
Cause it doesn't even make you drunk. Like when you
Doesn't
drink it, and
what?
it just makes you like it can, but like it's at a certain point when you drink and like trip acid or whatever, like it doesn't affect you so much as makes you physically sick or dehydrated.
Dude, I
It,
swear, like,
that's
cause
why
like,
people.
cause
That's why people like when they. A lot of times when they're tripping and they drink, they don't realize how much they're drinking because they don't feel it because they're tripping, and they just feel
yeah.
like it's going down like water. Well, then they get
Well,
dehydrated and then they go crazy.
I was thinking like being drunk first and then doing the substance. I don't understand. Like
Hmm.
my first time that I had like my most intense trip on mushrooms, like the buddy I was with had been drinking and like then he took shrooms and like he was like puking. He was all puking and stuff. And like I just had to leave the environment. And like another time I recall like I was with some people, we were passing the empty pipe around and this girl had been drinking and then she ended up yuking like right in front of her. And it's like at that moment in time I was like, why would you ever why would you want to drink? And then because it's two different things, like drink, like
Hmm.
alcohol is very social and
Yeah.
psychedelics are not. It's like private.
Hmm. And that's where it kind of comes into the information thing. Is like when you're mixing stuff like that, do you really know like there's a feeling you want to get, but do you really know that that's really the combination that's going to get you there? You know, you could just
Yeah.
not drink and feel that. At the same time, like also alcohol in and of itself does tend to amplify things. So like if you drink a little bit with mushrooms, they can tend to make them come on a little stronger. But you know, if you drink excessively with it, it's not, you're just not going to feel it. It's not you're not going to feel it. You'll feel it, but it's not nearly the same experience, and you're not getting as much out of it as you probably could if you didn't.
So
And, yeah, definitely not something to waste for sure. I think that's the thing that's sad is like it's a mixture of like at festivals and things. A lot of times is people, it's like not knowing how to actually take those sacraments in a group and just share that energy together in a way that's positive, that's not damaging to everybody. Because I have seen that. I've been to transformational festivals where people do it right, and it's amazing. Like
really,
the community building, the connections that last for years, and like real communities that are being built from like us doing these things responsibly and holding space and like holding sacred space with one another, and like, you know, using these heightened states to manifest ideas, to communicate, to like really explore these
it could
things.
just be ungrounded is the only thing.
Yeah, it can be. And but that's the thing, is like it's not always like these conversations, a lot of these things, it's not like when we're always tripping. It's just like the whole space is like a what's the word for it? Like a catalytic space. It's just like an idea kind of generating or generative space, like an inspiration filled space, I guess. Because like there's many
Yeah.
moments, like there's been many festivals where I've gone and I'm not tripped at all, and like I've had like amazing experiences with other people that are just like that. They're there to just do the light work. They're there to do the work and the community building and all of that. So like, there's definitely that aspect to it. And a lot of times, like, you know, you can do psychedelics with people's like those, and you can connect on an even deeper level in a way that's beyond words. And like the way you're coordinating and all of this is more through just your whole being and your own expression and just, you know, your relationship with that person and the community that you're
Yeah.
building.
So I want to talk about lucid dreams. Have you had them?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Speak
Yeah.
on your experiences, and then I want to speak on mine.
Sure. So lucid dreams is kind of what has gotten me into a lot of this stuff, like with exploring psychedelics and like this culture, this whole movement, this whole spirituality, all this stuff.
I mean, like at some point, tell people like how you had a lucid dream. Like,
Sure.
how'd you, yeah.
Sure. So yeah, I'm trying to think of a good place to start with lucid dreaming, like with my kind of experience. Like basically, you know, I told this story on the first episode of my show, about how I had a dream. Maybe I didn't tell this episode on that episode. I don't know. I'll definitely say this one specifically at another time. But basically, I just had a lucid dream that urged me to go to this conference in New York, and I had a synchronicity where there was something that I saw in the dream that I saw in real life. And it started to make me kind of see, and I've kind of seen this pattern with my lucid dreams and things of like, there will be energies or there'll be certain circumstances or things that will come into the dream to me that then will reflect in my daily life, either through, you know, obvious things like subconscious things, like, you know, certain situations that would otherwise like likely to be occurring. But other times, like, I'll have things like specific objects, some things people will say, certain situations that will occur that I would not have been again to expected to happen. I'll have those in a dream, and then it kind of come up in my reality. So what I've kind of like come to with dreams is a couple of things. Is like, one, it's also like it's a reflection of your subconscious minds, and like if I really kind of pull back to the whole all itself concept, like your subconscious mind is also connected to the whole, you know, the whole super conscious subconscious mind, or whatever you want to, however you want to phrase it, you know. So I feel like it's, in some senses, a lot of our dreams is like the spaces where we're like more connected to our feeling and our more inside, closer to that inner space that we're projecting from. And like, we're like kind of moving things around in the attic per se, in our being and our frequency. And I feel like all of us doing that is kind of like, is like what, like I like to think of it like that's us experiencing like the Lilithian or like the moon or the Eve side of our being. And like that is like in some senses feeding back into the sun, or the other side. It's like the other side of the sun in some senses, I feel like. And like that's kind of spraying out and like making our reality.
Nice. Yeah.
Like it's like a large collective dream of all of the organisms, like Gaia's dream kind of in a way, but like it's far lengths even farther than that, I suppose. But like it's I feel like that space, that the lucid dreaming space, whether it's taking place in your own mind or not, or whatever, it's all what I feel like it's like kind of likened to like dark energy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's somewhere, it's going somewhere, it's generating energy somewhere, and that is happening somewhere, that is transmuting energies, that is making things happen. So it's like, what is the like, what is that with, what does that energy look like of all of the beings in the whole planet?
Yeah, like everything, like everything you're saying, like just like to me, it makes a lot of sense. It's really clear. I don't know how other people perceive it, but like everything you're saying, like I feel like it's spot on and like it's very clear.
Cool. That's something that I've been really trying to like understand in my own mind. Like the only person that I've really ever heard like talk like that really was Sevan. At first, like that I'd really heard talk about how the dream is like it's the projection and then the manifestation. So like in the dream space, if you want to transmute things that are going on here, you just apply the energy to the situation and to the people, and you visit them, and like you manifest it. And then like if you really pay close attention to all the energetic situations, it's not so much like you had changed all that, and so now like all of a sudden these people are doing all these different things, as much as it changed all of that within you. So you're vibrating a specific shape of a frequency that's fitting in a specific place in the tree. That's kind of like what I like to think of it as. You go into the dream, you pull in to that other side of it, of the manifestation, you get your telemetry, and then when you open your eyes, you're where your dream was, but you're on the other side of it, if that makes sense. It's like the diametric of what your dream was.
Okay.
And like that's what we're all co-creating and like living with each other. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to go back at some point and run back over that.
Yeah.
It's funny. I always feel like the stuff that I produce, like the podcast and like the music I produce, I always go back and like I listen to it more than anybody.
Yeah.
Everybody else probably does.
There's like this Chance has told me, he's like on his show, there's only been like he's like the shows that like I've done with you, like the highest ones are listened to. I'm like, I wonder if that's just me listening to it over and over again.
Yeah.
He's like, there is some part of it. He's like, it's definitely, there's traceable. It's like from a bunch of different people. He's like, so no, you're all right. But
Sure.
I just thought that was kind of funny, but because that's one thing I think is really important, is to go back through and listen to yourself talk, and to like, I think it's a great way to learn to like what the things that you say too much, like certain words. I realized like the first podcast I did with Chance, I kept saying exactly over and over again. I was listening to it like, what in the fuck was I thinking? So I like didn't do it the next time. I barely ever said it at all.
Yeah.
So like,
dude, like the funniest thing happened to me too, because I sent you that podcast, my solo podcast.
Yeah.
Did you listen to that whole thing, by the way?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nice, dude. Yeah, we gotta talk about that at some point. But yeah, I sent him one of my cousins, and he like, I guess people do this thing where they count the number of times that you say or
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing. And so, because he told me, I'd never heard of anyone doing that, and then I went and saw it somewhere else. Someone was doing that, and yeah, I don't really worry about that too much unless I want to really start taking public speaking very seriously.
Right.
I might work on that, but
that's actually something we were kind of talking a little bit earlier about like the presentation and everything, and like part of like what I'm trying to do with this is like at least starting out and getting myself out there and getting this going and all that is just literally, I feel like just doing it and literally just being 100% authentically, transparently myself is not going to let me down. In some avenue or in some way, it's going to point me in the right direction. And perhaps like certain avenues of things that I do, the way I present it might be completely different, you know, and all professional. Like if I do a video for my company or something, it's going to be totally different than this. But this is my place to be like, you know what? I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. I don't give a fuck what you think. I don't give a anybody, not you specifically, but like, I don't care. You can judge me however you want. That's just a reflection of you. I'm just coming here to bring the people that I think are here to do things, that are here to think things and say things, and that I think are cool or important or whatever, and that I think could inspire somebody. And if that's something that you want to judge because I do psychedelics or they do psychedelics or I smoke weed or whatever, sincerely, like, you need to get over yourself, because this is just whatever it takes to do the thing. I'm trying to do the thing. This is what's getting me through. This is what's helping me figure it out. And you're no better. I'm no better, you know?
Yeah, dude.
So I'm just trying to be here and be present. And that's just part of it sometimes, is everybody goes through some shit, you know?
Yeah.
So you're the first to admit it.
Yeah, dude. Like I hate feeling like just waiting for you to finish what you're saying so I can say what I want to say.
No, that's how it goes, dude. That's how it goes.
Yeah, no. Like as you the whole train of thought you just went on. A couple of things came to mind. First is just like what you're saying about judgment. Something that, like, you know how I say, like, I'm always meditating even when I'm not necessarily sitting down and meditating. Like upon meditation and reflection, just going through my life, I did realize that a few days ago too. Like how much of a freedom it is to realize that when another person is judging you, that's bad on them. Like that's really not, it doesn't affect you whatsoever.
No,
like, it really does. Like some things that somebody does, like, it might actually affect you, but judgment is one of those things that it only hurts them.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that came to my mind was how much confidence that it takes to do this kind of thing, to get out there and express yourself. And I've even heard people say, as a musician, I don't know if you're a musician, are you?
Mm-hmm. I sing.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, like people tell me sometimes, like, I would never be able to just. People tell me like that take confidence, like, to just go out there and express yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And people think, I mean, I feel some people like it. They're just not ready to get out there on that level and express people. But I definitely realize that what I'm doing and how I put myself out there and what you're doing and people such as ourselves, if we get on Facebook and write something or we get on a podcast like this and express ourselves, we are going to unfortunately lose like a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
and push people away, including like even family members.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's like a tough thing, but yeah, you just got to develop a thick skin, man. And like, that's just
Exactly.
something, that's like our generation is just so offended.
Yeah.
We're the
Yeah.
most, we're the most offended generation.
Yeah. I came here to offend some people. Like I want you to think. I want you to, if you're offended by something that I do, like that literally, like I've been kind of like trying to like, check myself as much as possible if I'm doing anything really that's really bad or wrong or anything. And like I feel like I'm doing all right. And like if you want to outright judge me and like say that like I'm a bad person or that I'm making terrible decisions or something like that, what are you doing? Like really, like it's part of what you were saying earlier. Is like sometimes some people do need certain things, like to have the courage to do certain things. Part of that journey is like learning how to not need those things to have the courage to do certain things.
Yeah, man.
Whatever,
I feel, like, I feel bad when like since I kind of spoke out about how I'm not really into Sevan's message. I've had people unfriend me,
Mm-hmm.
and like I just feel bad that someone has to unfriend me, and because the thing is, I know I'm losing good people like when that unfriend me, because at first I just see the friends list number goes down. I don't know who it is, but I find ways to find out who it was.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel bad that people won't come and talk to me.
Yeah, first. Besides just
Hold on, I
dropping it
can't hear
off.
you. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I can't hear you, bro.
You can't hear me?
I can't hear you.
Not at all.
No, I
My
can't
my
hear you.
microphone can still hear me.
I can't
My
hear you.
let's see, my audio is picking me up.
I can't hear
Yeah.
you at all, bro.
You can't shit. Um hmm.
Okay, it's fine now.
Okay, it's fine now. Was
Yeah,
it just your headphones?
I don't know what it was, but yeah, bro. That's all I'll just say. I just feel bad when people feel the need to just say I'm done with you, and
Mhm.
we can't just talk it out. Like
Yeah.
I almost feel like sending these people messages today. I was thinking like I feel like sending them a message, being like why'd you unfriend me? But I never talked to them anyway, so.
True. True.
But yeah, bro. I don't know.
So yeah, do you want to get any more into that? Because I still am not really 100% sure as to
Yeah,
all your
man.
reasons. That's your call though if you want to talk about
Yeah,
it.
man. I do want to talk about it. Maybe I'll even do like a little thing where we edit this section out, and then I could send that if people really want to know. But really, the main thing is I just feel like I outgrew it. I feel like I was coming across certain things in Savan's message that I know is not true, and like I don't know. I just feel like if you're gonna come out as a spiritual teacher, like everything you say needs to be right. Like, I mean, otherwise, just say like I'm a seeker. I'm not a. Don't come out as a teacher. If
Mm-hmm.
if every single, I mean, I don't know.
There's a way to present information that you can say like this is what I've found so far. This is what I believe, or this is what is my truth. You know what I mean? Without saying like this is the truth. You know.
And dude, like somebody who's vulnerable, who doesn't know anything about spirituality or
Mm-hmm.
this occult wisdom, like me, basically, when I was 18,
Mm-hmm.
I thought everything Savan said was true, just because the way
Yeah.
he says it. I
Sure.
just feel like everything he said was true.
Yeah. Absolutely. I could totally see that. And there's certain parts of myself where I had gone through aspects of that myself, and then I was like starting to hear things that I didn't necessarily agree with, and like I can respect his opinion on it, sure, but like
Right.
that's not what uh melds with my particular consciousness. That's just not the information that's right for me, you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah,
not.
and
And
let's just.
go ahead.
I just want to. I think we should talk about like Savan, like who he is, just because
Yeah,
there's people who might be listening who are like,
sure,
who don't
sure.
know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I guess I don't know. You can start off if you want talking about him, or I will. I don't know.
Yeah, so Seven is somebody that me and his name's Sevan Bomar, James Evans Bomar. He's somebody that me and Peter have been tuning into for a while. He runs Secret Energy, runs a Secret Energy platform. We both heard him from the Resistance 2010 platform. yeah, he pretty much has been studying occult knowledge and spirituality his entire life. Grew up in different religious traditions and stuff, where he was kind of forced to learn a lot and kind of like participate in like going to church and stuff like that. And he was even going to be like a minister or like a priest or something like that for a while. So that's where he gets his when he gets preachy and like where he's like saying this is the truth. I feel like that's part of like with that aspect of his personality. So that's one thing I try to keep in mind with Sevan, is that, man, like he can deliver some incredible truths and speak it like I've never heard anybody speak it before. But at the same time, when you're doing that and you're in that flow and you say something that may or may not necessarily be true, that, like I know me, like when I'm in my understanding, sometimes I say things and they actually are not true. It's just what felt right. And like I didn't phrase it properly, or it just wasn't the right expression. But I'll own up to that. You know what I mean? That's really important,
Right.
I think, to do. And I think
And I
the thing with Sevan, dude, is like he doesn't have enough people checking him. And I think that's the thing that like somebody like that needs, is like somebody that's going to sit there, like, think about it, dude. How many people, like, okay, you look at the views and things on just the YouTubes, is like there's maybe handfuls of thousands that sometimes go back and listen to some of those recordings and stuff. So like part of it, I think, is also like when you're surrounded by people that kiss your ass all the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That like literally that because they don't know more, they just don't know more than you. They don't know like where to call you on something. And when you don't have that around you, you don't know the better either. So that's kind of like where I see Sevan in some senses, is like he's insulated himself with certain levels of knowledge, I suppose, in the way that he's teaching it. And I think that part of it gets down to like, he has been removed from society for kind of a while. He's been doing the thing, dude. He's been like pulling back and doing it and like going in the self and everything. But
dude, part of that,
mm-hmm.
dude, it could just be where I'm at in life, because part of that I respect that so
Sure.
much. And like a part of me wants to do that, but it could just be where I'm at in life, because I just feel like in order to really make a difference, you can't just be on a screen monitor.
Exactly. And that's literally about what I was getting to. Yeah,
you have to be out there, like, and I'll even reference like a video, this guy, Minister Enki, really dope, like kind of African scholar.
Mm-hmm.
She was talking about like these guys like David Banner or like J. Cole, these supposed conscious hip hop artists.
Mm-hmm.
He was saying, if you're so conscious, where's the community centers?
Right.
Where's the libraries and stuff?
And that's the whole.
It could just be where I'm at,
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, man. Is that's what I've realized. Like Sevan, his whole thing is to be talking like people like you and me who are actually going to do it. I feel like in some senses, like there's the function. That's his function. He's kind of like that dude that's like in the Matrix that's sitting in the room with all the TV screens. He's like, okay, this is kind of what's going on. You should go do this. Or like if you're finding it's like he's kind of that guy that's there that comes along when you are starting to kind of get activated and you're trying to like understand some things. He kind of comes along, shows you some things, and then like I realized sometimes the way things were presented at the specific times at the specific level of consciousness I was at, whether it was true or not, it didn't matter, because I came to a specific epiphany that may or may not have actually had anything to do with what he was saying. So a lot of it I feel like is a code. A lot of it's a program. Just like any of us, when we meet each other here, like we're all carrying different archetypes. We're all, of course, expressing free will and all of that, but we carry polarities. Like you've got to be you, I've got to be me, absolutely. You know what I mean? Or, for us to experience each other. So like we're all super programs of each other. You know what I'm saying? So like Sevan in some senses, like that is in some senses, okay.
Yeah.
It's pushing that out. But a lot of that, I feel like it comes to your individual determination, or your individuation of your own consciousness and your ability to determine what he's saying through what he's feeling and through also what he's actually expressing through his words themselves. And that's one thing I realized and actually learned a lot from Sevan, was how to do that, was how like literally what you're saying, how everything sounds like what he's saying is the truth. It's a form of expression. It's a form of being. And I learned so much about how to do that, and how that in order to do that, you actually have to be doing noble deeds and noble actions. You have to have that energy. You have to actually be like doing something good. And that's part of like what he was trying to show, is that like he's back there, you know, he's not able to like necessarily to go out and do it. And that's part of like what I also see is no, he's absolutely able to go out and do it. He's figuring it out. But where we're at, where me and you right here, think about it, dude. Think about it seriously. How long it took him to do all the shit he's had to do. But you from 18 to now to 21, you're 21, right?
I've gotten all that knowledge.
Yeah. So did I. Me in 2 years, I digested everything from Resistance 2010 and everything he has in Secret Energy, all of that. From his whole 10 years of all of that and his entire life up into that point.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's part of it is like, we don't want to take everything that they say to be necessarily the truth, because you wouldn't want to take everything that I say to be necessarily the truth for sure.
Yeah.
Part of Sevan's downfall in some senses I could see is that he is so damn like, you could be saying anything and you believe it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's showing stuff that's on the forefront of his mind too. It's things that he's not really sure about, but he's trying to get it out there, and I see that. And so on one hand, like I see that there's a part of it where maybe if he spent more time on certain topics, or was maybe had more people to talk about with it, you know, that were not kissing his ass about it, or that didn't understand those things.
Dude,
also,
that's like just like this is the thing. Like I just can't fucking stand anymore. Like as much as he talks about like, you know, I'm not a guru. Don't look up to me. Like that's exactly what's happening, bro.
yeah,
It's like a cult. It's like a cult, dude. I just can't stand it anymore, bro.
yeah. I mean, he's wearing a gi.
He's wearing a what?
A gi, like the martial
mean?
arts wear and all that. Like he's wearing like it looks kind of like a guru kind of thing. So like, yeah, but if you're gonna play the role, then play the role. Play it. You know what I mean? Then do it. You know.
I mean, yeah.
But it's a hard thing to do, and then like, you know, when you do one thing wrong, it's like then you lose the whole, you know. That's what he's in the middle of right now, literally. It's like that's his whole thing, is it's like he's like, I'm trying to do all these things right, but there's still some things that I have not figured out quite how to do correctly, or how to conduct all this, or structure all this.
What is he, because dude, the thing is like Sevan doesn't even answer me, bro. Like what is he doing that's like, he's so committed to his work of enlightening humanity, but I sent him 7 or 8 messages on Skype or a text, and there's nothing. I literally, like 2 weeks ago, I sent him like a really long email, like just listing everything. Like, bro, there's you know, I respect everything I've gotten from you, but there's this that you need to address. There's this you need to address. There's this you need to address. That's a week and a half later, and people should know, like, there's still nothing, no response. I don't know, what is it that he's so engrossed in doing that he can't. And he calls me, this is someone who's called a great friend, bro, me. He calls me a great friend, and why, like it's like I literally said this in the email. So there's just some things about you I could not respect more. You're the prime. You're the role model of exactly this thing, but other things just make you kind of go, what the fuck? And yeah, I don't know, man. I just outgrew it, and I have nothing bad to say. Like, you know, me and you obviously would not be having this conversation.
Right. Exactly. Right.
That for itself pretty much almost makes up for it.
Yeah.
You know, I just hope he responds to me, because
I do too, man. I think him like me, man. Like I get there. My message inbox is so full of unanswered messages. I can't even begin to tell you, and I feel so ashamed of it. But dude, like I literally have so many messages. There's no way that I could respond to all of them in a timely fashion. It's impossible.
Honestly, I can't.
Some of them, but like I do get quite a lot. I really do, and like a lot of it's also is that. Like I'm the person, like I don't want to give you like really short response, especially if you're going to like give me something longer. I don't want to give you something short in response to that. I want to actually like sit down and maybe take 20 or 30 minutes and respond to you. But like I'm the kind of person where like, dude, I have so much shit going on that I cannot keep track of it. I'm like,
see, I just don't understand. Like, I just haven't been in that position. That's why it's hard for me to.
Yeah, no, it's something that I didn't fully appreciate for myself until like it started happening to me more. I was like, holy shit, I cannot.
And like I will say something like I will say something like Noah, you know, in my profile picture, like there's a reason like she will only take so many clients, and like I brought her like she's a master at just managing, just for that in itself, mastering her energy and who she will share that energy with, and that's what I think we all need to work on. But I think And it feels weird, like trying to give somebody like Sevan advice because it seems like he knows everything. But
Right.
that's one thing I would say.
But that's just it right there, dude. That's it. I don't mean to cut you off, but that's his whole thing. Like that, nobody gives him advice because nobody feels like they can give him advice.
Yeah, right. If there's one thing I could just give him advice on, and like it feels weird to be in this position, but it's like, if he's for some strange way listening to this podcast, like he should focus on energy management, bro, and like how he allocates his energy, and yeah, that's just really it. I mean, like because we are unlimited energy, like at the end of the day, but we need to be careful about what we taking on more than we can handle.
Oh yeah, I've definitely learned from that firsthand. Yeah,
just like for a quick story, like I even brought my friend over to meet Noah. Like I was supposed to have a session like in the morning, and I came over and I brought my friend with, and apparently that just it threw off the whole energy of what she was doing for her healing. Where she works with clients, and that threw off the whole energy. And I didn't like a part of me knew, like obviously I knew that, but a part of me was like, it'll be fine. I just bring my friend, and introduce him, you know. But that's the real thing, like you know. And I just sometimes the stuff he talks about is just so deep. I told him this on the email. This is not just me going behind his back. I told him this, like, the stuff that he will talk about is so deep that you can't just go do a Google search, and find out that's what he was talking about.
No,
you're gonna have to go to him directly and be like, "Where'd you get that?" And like again, he gets all this stuff from books, man, and you know, it's mostly comes from books. It's not. A lot of it not necessarily from what he's experienced.
Sure, it's a huge library he has. He's read most of those books.
Dude, he's like a library, bro. That's what Sevan is. He's like a library. Like,
when you see those books, a lot of his library is actually my friend's library.
What do you mean?
Aetherforce.com.
Oh, okay.
My friend John, that's a lot of those books are from their library.
Oh shit. Okay.
Not all of them, not like I don't know what percentage it is, but I know it's quite a lot. But yeah, but like, dude, there's really, have you peeled through that library?
Dude, it got taken down.
On the 2010 site?
Yeah, it got taken, the ISSUU issue. It got taken down, bro. People were asking about that.
Huh. So I was able to access it still through the Secret Energy site for a while, and I haven't tried to do it it's been months since I've really gotten into that specific page, but...
Yo, can I run to the bathroom real quick?
Go for it, dude.
All right. All right, man. Well, yeah, Aetherforce.
Yeah. So he runs a website. It's called Aetherforce. They teach it's kind of like a blog website, and they have information about alternative sciences.
Yeah, I've been there. It's a dope site. I've never been that much into it, but I've checked it out.
Yep. My buddy's the admin. We're actually in this thing. This is something I was hoping to get to talk about. Actually, is this thing that I'm also involved in St. Louis. This is a thing called St. Louis Moon Tribe. We're a group of people that we have like an inner circle, like our little kind of council, and it's really just people that are kind of helping organize events and just planning stuff out. But basically, we like host meditations, movie nights, potlucks, music, creative events, healing shares for like energy healers and stuff, all kinds of different stuff.
Dude, how do you feel about when you say energy healer nowadays? Like it's like there's an immediate eye roll. Like,
right, I know it's such a broad word for so many different things, but I see it as like anybody that's doing things anything from yoga to meditation to Reiki to, you know, chakra cleaning or clearing to sound healing. And
No, there are like
yeah,
legit ass people out there. Like my buddy
yeah,
Dan, like my
oh
buddy
yeah,
Dan, who I've talked about. Like when he went
mm-hmm.
on, when we went on the retreat, like he did like this. It's like attunement. It's like
Mm-hmm.
attunement is what it is. He
Yeah.
did one of those, and that was like the highlight of his whole trip. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so there's people out there doing the
Yeah.
real thing.
Oh yeah, I'm a Reiki too, and I do energy healing on people.
Okay.
It's really what it breaks down to. I mean, you can call it Reiki, you can call it whatever you want. Reiki is just really, it's just like has a lot more to do with the specific symbols that you're using as to why it's called Reiki. It's because it's the culture, but ultimately you're just using your prana to heal somebody. You're using your life force energy, your imagination, and the way that you shape that energy with your frequency to fill them with that. Basically,
Wow.
it's that and all the things that are connected to you, kind of like flowing through them, and like how you direct that energy. So yeah, I mean, like it's amazing like how much people's like traumas or different things just get stored up in the body, and it just feels like a lot of times it just feels like it's a pressure or like a static, and you just kind of like know to put that. And like you can go down like do specific ways every time and have a routine, but you'll also get a sense of like what somebody needs. And a lot more of my healings tend to be more intuitive. Like I'll go through and do things in a routine, but then I'll do more of an intuitive healing.
Dude, I want to do stuff like that, man.
Yeah,
I always feel like there's
you should, dude. You
more
totally
stuff I have to
should.
work at. Yeah, well, like
There's no reason you can't.
right. Yeah, well, here's the thing. I'll explain. Like, I feel like okay, to get on a podcast like this or to record videos is like one thing. Like that's one way of providing service, which I really enjoy doing. But then to get to a point where you're putting your hands on somebody or like Reiki, where they're doing
Yeah,
like this, it's a whole nother level.
yeah,
And I just feel like I want to be as like as clear as I can make myself, like as free
sure.
of blockages as I can be. You know.
Yeah, that's a very wise perspective to have on the situation for sure. You definitely like, and anytime you do like Reiki or anything like that, your first attunement is usually it's all for you. Like you need to start doing the healing on yourself and like working with the energy on yourself, purifying your blockages and those different types of things, and addressing life situations, diet, and all this different stuff, habits, everything. So like, part of it is just starting. So like with me,
Sure.
I didn't know how or where to begin or whatever. And I got my first attunement by one of my close friends who's also in the Moon Tribe. And it started me down a path. Actually, I got it at a festival, and like it really opened me up to like seeing and feeling more of just people's, like the energies of their personalities, like their expression, if that makes sense. The more of the layers to that, I guess. I just became more sensitive to it. And then I started to notice that like within myself more, and like the feelings that I was holding consistently and where I was holding that in my body and how it was affecting the way I would feel all day, or at night when I would sleep or when I would eat or when I would do anything. I started becoming more aware of my own energy. But like I said, part of that is just by starting on like getting an attunement or whatever, just moving in that direction or getting the cleansing going, whatever it is. I think everybody's a healer. I think anything that you do can be a form of healing. Like me and you talking right now, this is healing to some people, if they're
Yeah.
listening at some point. This is a form of healing, getting information and actually getting some direction on something might be proving to be something that actually moves their life along in some way,
Yo, so I've just been like dying to ask, like have you experienced like fasting? Like, have you like really done it or?
Not an extreme amount of it. I did the colon cleanse, the secret energy colon cleanse,
Okay,
the
yeah,
blessed herbs one. So
yeah, apple juice.
there was a fast involved with that kind of, it's apple juice, just no solids, it's just pretty much apple juice. And you could have like broth and stuff. I sometimes would have soup. I'd have a soup or smoothies. I'd have smoothies. A lot of smoothies would get me by and juicing. But I've gone like for different psychedelics and certain things, I've gone like a day without eating or whatever
Dude,
like
it's
that.
hilarious. It's hilarious because the first time I ever fasted, was like I found like a connect for like mushrooms,
Hmm.
and I was like, all right, I'm gonna fast because I heard like you fast before, and then like it's more intense. And so like
Hmm.
I fasted for like 3 days, bro,
Oh,
and like and this is kind of before. I think it was before like, or I don't know, maybe not like before I found out about secret. It was like I'd known about like Resistance 2010, and all Sevan and stuff. But like, I think I was taking a break on it for a little bit just to get some ground, some fundamentals.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I fasted for like 3 days. I'm like, dude, I used to drink like pure distilled water. Like I mean, like, and like we could talk about water soon, but like, yeah, I used to just go to Whole Foods and just buy like distilled water, and then just drink it. But like, obviously, I mean, dude, I realize now like that was making me less energetic. Like it would kind of, I would feel tired, bro, and like, yeah.
From distilled water.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Distilled water, it doesn't have any minerals in it, so it's going to make your body leach minerals, and make that by itself will make you less electromagnetic. So it would take your
bro,
energy
like,
down.
let's talk about like water though.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
what kind of water do you drink?
It varies, but I tend to get like reverse osmosis or like purified water, or like spring water if I can.
Yeah, I feel like just at your location, I feel like you'd be near to like a spring.
Not really any natural ones right around here, and if they are, they're polluted.
Okay.
The best one that I've gone to is this place. It's in Ava, Missouri, and there's a well there that's really nice. Or their creek, the Bryant Creek, is really nice. If I can find good well water, I'll get that. I kind of get the best quality that I can find that's around me, but I'll typically get like, whatever is labeled as like spring water in the store that's been purified. And I know it's at least going to have some minerals in it. It's not going to make my body leach the minerals. I don't really like drinking out of the plastic and all that, but it's kind of a necessity. If you're buying from the store, that's all they literally have.
Have you tried the distilled water, just like plain water, like nothing in it, and then you add like mega hydrate or you add trace minerals?
I haven't. That's kind of the next phase of where I'm wanting to get my water, is where I'm starting to add the trace minerals and stuff like that into it. I just haven't bought them yet. That's kind of like what I've come to too, I guess. That's let's put it this way. That's where I would ideally like to be with my water consumption is,
Sure.
drinking distilled, but then remineralizing it. I would really like to be drinking distilled water, remineralize, restructure it. Have you ever drank structured water?
Well, what's to my understanding that I already do drink it because I feel like I think that's what Kangen water does.
Yeah, no, it's the same. That's basically the same thing. Yeah.
It's like from the scientific videos I watch, they say structured water is smaller water. The molecule is smaller.
Yeah. And that that's where it would be like when you're combining that kind of water with stuff like the mega hydrate, that's when it really starts to have more of an effect. It's like you get really high quality water and then you combine it with those kinds of things. You really start to get a lot of energy out of your water for sure. But you put that in like the tap water or even a lot of stuff you get in the store. It doesn't have the same life to it, if that makes sense. So water is a big thing. That's something that I realize it takes a little bit of money to invest in good water purifying and structuring equipment. And that's where my hang up is right now is with that.
It's an expensive habit. I mean, like the thing is I was I was living in Hawaii, I was broke, but I always had this commitment to my health. So whatever money I did have, I would always go and order mega hydrate online and buy trace minerals. And it's an expensive habit. Like, yeah. I mean,
taking care of yourself is an expensive habit. Like,
yeah,
it really
dude, like
is.
the thing is, I've come to the point which I feel really great. And like, I've come to the point where even when I'm really low on money, like I'll go to the freaking juice bar and buy like a $6 bottle of juice just because if I don't have my brain power, if I don't have my energy, I ain't got nothing.
Useless. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. The real abundance is what you feel and what you get out of it. It's not that money. And I'll spend my last dollars on some organic food. I have done it many times. My last paycheck, I'm like, well, I'll find some way to get through. And I usually always do in some senses, but I'm going to eat or I'm going to eat all right. I'm at least going to make that a priority because if I don't have that energy, I don't have the manifestation to get.
And dude, also it's funny because ever since I've found out about fasting, like you realize you don't even need to even spend a whole lot of money on food. No. Like that's the thing too. Like I'm even like this whole other tangent I could go off on. Basically, I'm writing this little PDF. I wrote this little PDF file to kind of give away for free in exchange for like an email. I'm trying to build an email list, but I wrote this little PDF on health, and I had included a segment about how people say what you just said, like, oh, it's expensive to eat healthy, but I don't know, because I feel like part of being healthy is fasting, and
Hmm.
that,
It is and
and
it isn't. You're right. You're
you
absolutely
know,
right. Yeah, because when you eat healthy, you don't really need to eat as much either. As you can go through fluctuations, like where you'll eat for like a couple days, you'll eat a little bit more, and then a few days you don't eat so much. And like I'll
and dude,
have that.
that
Yeah,
was when I started having my most insane lucid dreams. Was when I
yeah.
started fasting.
We've been like dancing around like lucid dreams and stuff a bunch. Still,
Yeah,
like, we kind of got into it a little bit, but we didn't even get into
yeah,
yours so much. Yeah.
yeah. I
What is your
will.
perspective on this whole?
Right. Like, well, first I want to talk about something crazy with
Okay.
Noah, just so people know. So I don't have to keep saying it. Noah is
Hmm.
this lady who came into my life. She's not a healer. She came into my life. She was working with my dad. My dad met her through his ex-girlfriend, and she's a lady that is incredibly gifted. She is one of the, like, again, it's hard to take it however you want, but she's one of the first. She says she's one of the first humans ever created, and she is like, when I said, like, like, uh, let me see. I'm so lost in my train of thought. When I asked you, do you believe there's such a thing as a perfect human being? I believe that she is a perfect human being. Like, I even like was just like touching her hair recently. I'm like, wow, your hair feels like amazing. She's like, yeah, I know. And I think she's like a perfect human being. I think her DNA is perfect.
Hmm.
And just so I don't have to keep explaining who this person is.
Sure.
She basically just does these really painful sessions where she like digs her elbow into you or steps on you and relieves pressure. Um, and she's just been so integral. I posted on Instagram about her. But yeah, so just to start off the whole lucid dreaming thing with a crazy story, it was like she told me. I asked her, like, so do you dream? She's like, very seldom. She says because her thing is like she can't even use imagination, because if she imagines something, it will manifest, because
Hmm.
she's just at that level. Um, so she says she doesn't even dream; she just goes immediately into delta.
Hmm.
So I think that's interesting. I think dreams, yeah, it makes sense. It's a product of your imagination.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, man, like when I was last summer, really, I think there's just a heightened energy around summer, because in these like winter months, I don't, my dreams just aren't really, not really kicking. I mean, they're not there, they're not vivid or anything, but last summer and last spring, they were really coming in super strong. And uh yeah, I mean, like, I think my first lucid dream, I think it was, matter of fact, the story was like, I woke up you wake up at like 2:45 or so a.m., 2:45, 3 o'clock a.m., and you just kind of stay awake, or you go back to bed. Uh, I had a lucid dream. And might blow your mind, but I had a lucid dream that I was like with Sevan, uh, and I used to live in Atlanta, and I was there in this room with him. I was like, whoa, like, I'm your Sevan. Like, I was like, bro, like, you're gonna write this thing called the Code of the Matrix. Like we're gonna change the world. And like, I was like, I was like, one ahead of the time. I was like telling him, I was like, you're gonna change. And he was like, wow, like, wow. And then so from there, we were like walking through the streets, like me and him, having conversations about like life. It was like crazy, about like spirituality, but it was lucid. And I think that was like my first lucid dream. And from there, I just want to give you kind of examples of give people examples of my lucid dreams, and then we can
Hmm.
talk about why we have them and what's the benefits. So, other lucid dreams I've had, like one time, I was like going around this high school or something, like literally like kind of zooming. I don't even like zooming, I guess is that verb I would use, like around this high school. I was like going through the halls. It was like a circle, like high school, and then I was going through the halls, and then I went outside and kind of panned out, and I saw like the football team practicing on the field, like
Hmm.
crazy. Uh, and I was like, wow, that was really sick. Another, like, I had this insanely psychedelic lucid dream I mentioned earlier, with just like gears, and like that's how you move through.
Hmm.
Um, Other lucid dream would be, uh, yeah, well, that's just some of the ones that I've had. Um, and yeah, I think it's amazing. I want everyone to feel that, because it's such a sense of accomplishment when you actually. Oh yeah, another one. I was at like a sleepover with at like some friend's house, and I was like able to like be lucid. It was weird. But yeah, it's such a sense of accomplishment when you can actually have that,
Hmm.
because it means your mind. I feel like it means your mind is clear enough that, because the first time I even heard of a lucid dream, like I was with my buddy a really long time ago, and we were just talking about dreams, and he was like, yeah, have you ever had like, he was like, yeah, like the other night, like I was like controlling, I was like, I had a lucid dream, I was like controlling my dream. I was like, what? Control your
Mm-hmm.
dream? That's not a real thing. Like this guy, I think this guy's just making this up because he's been known to exaggerate. I think this guy's making this up, but yeah, I mean, you do some research online and like it's real.
So this just brought up a really interesting topic about all this. That just kind of struck me about your friend earlier about how she's saying she doesn't dream because she, you know, anything that she thinks she manifests. That's what I realized with lucid dreaming is anything that you think does manifest. That's like where I realized like that's also what this place is. It literally, it is that this place isn't, it is a dream. It's an imagination. It's something that we like on a higher level of thought, say higher, but
is where we are a dream, or because is it a dream, or is it just a dream in the sense that everything physical, concrete starts out as a thought and then it becomes real, you know?
Right. And that's where we get into the paradox is it's like, we call things dreams because we say it's like we close our eyes and we're going to another space, but we're not, like we're still sitting here, you know, like we're just going.
Have you read like the Samuel War stuff?
Samuel War.
Yeah, he has a book like Perfect Matrimony and a couple of these other books. He talks about like you just get up and he's like you can train yourself to get to this point where you like in the mid wavering point between wakefulness and asleep. Mm-hmm. You just train yourself just get up. Yeah. Like at first you get up and you're like, oh yeah, I'm in a physical body, so whatever, just go back to bed. But you train to a point where you just get up and you can like fly around and like visit places and stuff.
That's even my buddy Chance, after we did that colon cleanse, he reported being able to he had an out of body experience in his room. But before I lose it, I'm trying to remember exactly what I was saying was that I've realized that like, well, how your friend's saying that, like the things that she thinks, like even then, like that's something that I realize about my reality even now, like all the time, anything that I think in some form or in some way, it always manifests. No matter what. I've noticed this.
There's also a buffer.
There is a buffer. Yeah.
I want to go kill some people today. Like that's not going to happen.
Right. Exactly. But that's what I'm saying is that, but that's it though, is that if you, just because you think something doesn't mean it's going to manifest in the way that you think it will. Unless, that's part of it. It's part of it is
that's how you gauge yourself.
That's what I'm saying too. Yeah.
Progress
is you're because you're putting out like, just because like let's say you put out that frequency, but then it ends up being like you get the diametric back. You know what I mean? It's all about like understanding how your thoughts, when you throw them out, when you throw the frequencies out, understanding how the diametric will look coming back at you. So like I've realized a lot of it's like what I can't do necessarily is sit there like I want to manifest this. It's something as much as I need to manifest this feeling. So I'll create the feeling and like I need to give this to myself in the future, or I need to give it to it associated with this event or this certain thing. Bro, and a lot of times, man, is with dreams or with anything, or with like when I get intuition and like what feels like parts of like the future sometimes even come to me. It's like it just comes through as a feeling like that, like, okay, I get an intuition, okay, I need to do this now, and you do that, and then something crazy happens or it ends up being perfectly in line and you just did it for some unknown reason.
I swear to God, like once like I had this dream. So I always get in these like, or I used to, not really anymore, but I used to always get in these arguments with my dad, or not arguments, but he'd tell me like, he'd be like, you know, P, like I just don't see you doing anything. Like I just don't. I mean, I'm just telling you what I see. What I'm being honest. He's being honest with me. Like I don't see what you're really doing to I don't know. I guess help people. And like so I get this thing where like that happens to me in dreams. Like we'll be having the exact same conversation. And so my dad says, you know, P, I just don't see you doing anything. I'm like, in the dream, I go, like, what do you want me to do? Like, what do you want me to do? He's like, go make a song. He's like, go put on these headphones that I'm wearing. He's like, go put on these headphones, go outside and go write a song. And literally the next day, like I did that and I wrote a song, not the song that I put out today.
Sure.
So yeah, it's like stuff like that. It's like, I like working with the dreams. You were talking about that earlier. Like,
and that's part of it. When you do that, is that it starts to happen more for you when you start to play with a dream, because that's the whole thing, is like that whole state of consciousness, that whole thing, that whole level of imagination, like that is the thing, like that is the control point, that is the loading room, that is the if you want to talk about the thing that's like how like that connective consciousness that goes through everything, like it's excited to create, you know, it wants you to do that. And I feel like the dreams are part of that is like this thing that we are gets so caught up and so like tunneled and rabbit holed into stuff that we need to like break from our, I can't see you too well. We need to break from our,
Oh, I'm just putting my
sure.
finger in the way.
We need to break from our like molds of thinking and doing things sometimes to really understand what to do next. And I feel like that's what dreams are really a really profound thing they're doing, is like showing us other aspects of our being that we were either neglecting or something like that, that once we recognize that and come to terms with it, we're able to change the feeling that we have about whatever the situation is that's going on. And once we change the feeling, the situation changes, because that's all that ever actually changes. Like we're a lot of times not in effect directly changing situations. I feel like a lot of times it's just you changing, and you just go where the change happened. And it's kind of like the concept of like parallel realities in a way, like where you're going to merge with the one that harmonizes with the feeling, the shape that you are. It's kind of like thinking like this, like we're in the hypercube, hyperspace, all that, like the shape that you make, the symbol that you make with how you feel right at this moment determines where in that tree cube thing you are. If that makes sense.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. This is like, yeah, I want to talk about something like, probably explicit, but like, I had like, when I was in Hawaii, one of my roommates, like literally like this dude is like my worst enemy, but at the same time, he was also like very spiritual. He told me this thing about like, like you write like a symbol down, like you think about what you want to manifest,
Mm-hmm.
and you write like you write a symbol down that directly represents like what it is you want to manifest. And then he's like, he's like, you rub one out, like you clear the pipes, and then you think about that symbol,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's like sex magic. You manifest it.
Yeah, it's tantric psych magic. Like Aleister Crowley was really into this.
Yeah.
Tesla.
What was that dude's deal? Like Aleister Crowley.
Crowley. He's just into a bunch of fucking crazy magic. That's what happened to him.
Like, was he a bad like? I don't know. Bad and good is subjective.
Right. He was an explorer of.
Like, what was his? Like, we talk about we have a purpose here. Like, what was his purpose? Just to see who could do the most bizarre.
Yeah. Like that's his.
Does that help? Does that help any like thing, or is that? I mean, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, dude, if I don't know where I'd be in my knowledge of exploring alchemy and all that kind of stuff if it wasn't for Crowley. I learned a ton from Crowley. Fuck yeah,
wow, dude. Because dude, it's funny because like like Absol, the rapper.
This sounds really familiar.
Oh, you don't know Absol, bro? Yeah, check out Absol. But he just came out with this album called.
I can't hear you, dude. Can you hear me? You can hear me, right? I can't hear you. Did you accidentally mute yourself touching the screen?
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you now. Yeah, did you I guess you just muted yourself or something? I just heard you. I hear you now.
Is it good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I don't know why that happens. But yeah, like so, like Absol came out with this album called "Do What Thou Wilt," and my buddy was saying like, "Yeah, man, I want to start reading like Aleister Crowley."
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, I've never read his stuff, but I was thinking like, I don't know if you really want to do that. Maybe just read more about his life and what. But
yeah, I've done both.
I'd love to hear like what you've.
Crowley's a really interesting character and has kind of delved in some really dark avenues of the conscious.
Like sacrificing animals and shit, like having sex with animals, right?
I don't know about so much having sex with animals. He would do more chaos magic. Like he would okay, think of it like this, like everybody's like into like using binaural beats to get into a certain, state of consciousness, altering consciousness. He was experimenting with altered states of lower frequency consciousness, kind of like ecstatic states of savagery. So like with his thing would be like, a lot of times it would involve sex. It would involve things with the root chakra, so that a lot of times he would get a blast and then he'd get like a download basically. So like a lot of times if you do certain forms of like the sex magic and different things like that, it gets you in the heightened state, like an altered state of consciousness. And you can, receive information or be inspired in certain senses. And like, I've read his Book of the Law, which is this is something that's really interesting. This is actually something I actually learned about from him, is the concept of gematria, that you can write words, you can create syntax in a very specific way that all of the words, all of the letters, all of the sentences add up to specific numbers.
Dude,
And
like,
that,
and like, for two things. First of all, that makes me think of like the band Tool,
yeah,
and then like, you know what I'm talking about, like,
yeah, Lateralis, their album, how they did that with the songs, and
yeah,
yeah,
and then oh yeah, like like, I don't know, dude, like, because I see videos on YouTube sometimes, and people try to justify things with gematria, and I'm just like, dude, you're taking this too far.
no, it's
So
not
I
though. At
don't.
the same time,
It's
dude,
not.
it's
I don't know.
not.
I don't know. I really don't
What's
know.
crazy
Tell me.
is you can take the Book of the Law and you can take the gematria in it, and you can make like at least a dozen books that are legible from it. Like if you literally just like, it's hard to explain it like logically, but there's like literally books within books. But the best example of this concept that's not far out at all is the Hebrew language. It's the only one that you can really I can send you some links on this that I've found about how, like, the way that the whole book is structured, is that like the words, it's like they kind of like go at a diagonal, the way that you to create the structure. Okay, the Torah, like it's a rotator, it's a rotus, like literally the words create a torus shape. They create a three-sided like shape that, like, if you were to read through it, it creates a loop through a torsion knot.
Okay.
So like if you were to take each of the characters and like create a triangle kind of a thing going like this, basically, they're all divisions of the Star of David. Like all of the letters actually create different divisions of that symbol, which also is a division of like the shadows, that like if you had a caduceus or caduceus staff, the shadows like going around that make kind of like different shapes within the Star of David. But what it gets into is like the same words for like what's the word for it? Like the same numbers for God and for love and all that. Like there'll be like different words that have numbers that equal the same amount but have similar meanings. So like the word for like God, or the word for love, it equals the same number. Those kinds of things. You find all of those patterns throughout their language. And then you also see this stuff it's really crazy. When you think about it, about like when you get into parts of like literally the origins of language themselves, they're coming from some kind of coding, some kind of universal coding through our imagination. Whatever it is, there's something there that is a pattern through every single language you see through all of humanity.
Well,
There's something
like,
coming through us.
You were saying like with the Hebrew, like it looked like a DNA strand, what you were doing with your hands.
Yeah, it creates a torsion knot that like goes like this, and like it I've got some links that would be really interesting, maybe for another conversation, and like to show you specifically, but they're literally, you can actually trace out the whole story of all of these religions together, like as kind of having to happen. It's part of the whole play, part of the whole pantheon of this whole thing. And like religions, yeah, in some sense it's bullshit, but in some sense it's like the books and a lot of these things were put together by people who, you know, were kind of picking some things out and using certain things for their advantage. But like, you got to realize this is all still part of the story, where our lives, me and you talking, is still this story, but it's constantly evolving. So in some senses, like, it's all about your perspective of like the device of religions. Yes, in some senses, it's like some people are using it for their own gains, but you got to realize the things that are creating those religions, these languages, these are hyper-dimensional beings that don't, they don't care what you're using it necessarily for, but they're still using the energy. So you have to understand.
It's like Sevan said, like the being, he said in this one interview, like the being that, like, so to speak, created all this. Like he's like the reason you can't find the creators because they don't have egos. Like they don't want to be identified because they know what that leads to.
Right. It's division. That's the whole point, though. Like it's a game. It's a game of like how much of the puzzle piece can you fit together in your mind without like giving away the whole thing. Is it's like you the masters or whatever of this reality and senses of the things that would be dreaming it. Like if you get attached to an ego, you're zooming in. You're becoming infinitely like small, I guess, or something. I don't know. Maybe that's not the right way to phrase it. Infinitely small might not be the right thing to say with that. But you would only be that one thing per se. Like you're choosing to go into that one. So like if you're really going to be orchestrating all of them and puppeting this, you would have to be this thing that's capable of doing all that. You know?
Yeah. We're just like this. We're just like this infinite kind of. I don't even know that noun that I'm thinking of, but like we're like a isness, I guess.
Isness, it's like perpetually regraduating itself.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say we're like yeah, okay. I mean that yeah. Well, what I wanted to say was like we're like an isness that like a movement that like separates itself into like smaller parts
Mm-hmm.
so that it can carry out certain things. Like that. Also, that was something that I realized about because like Noah, my friend, has also talked about how she's like actually met like all these ascended masters like Buddha. She's met Buddha, like Jesus, Kuan Yin, Babaji. And like what I realized is like these beings are here to, there's certain things that God needs, that God asks, that things that need to be fulfilled, that these particular beings are created to do. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's really big tasks. And that's mm-hmm. why, yeah.
We all think of it like this. We're all like holding hands around a fire. And it takes all of us. It takes all of us. None of us need to stand any closer or farther from it. We each have our own individual specific function and role. And I think it's just become bigger and bigger layers of that. It's just like that it's originally back that original 12 or whatever it was holding hands around the fire that were all tripping peyote trying to create the universe or some shit. that eventually it just became so far out that it's all these millions and millions of people. Who knows, dude? Who knows?
Yeah.
But I've had it. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, what was your zodiac sign? I'm just curious.
Sagittarius.
Okay, cool. So that's like you do fit, like what I would say, like what I would ask is like, do you fit the ideology of like you're a seeker of wisdom, like you're a broad thinker, you're like kind of independent, like courageous, like that's what I think of. Like I think of like a Sagittarius throwing the spear, like you aim for like long vision, like you have a long-term vision.
Yep. So that, yeah, a lot of the things for Sagittarius very accurately describe me. Yeah. And probably a lot of people, but at the same time, like the ones that I found predominantly very much me. I've seen other people's ones for their zodiacs, and I've seen ones that really don't describe me. So
yeah,
that's the thing. It's hard to tell with a lot of those like online zodiac things, just so general.
Yeah.
It's like, but the best thing you can go by is just the archetypes. That's it. Just the archetypes of it, and then it's just a way of explaining yourself. That's it. It's just these are kind of my polarities generally. This is a way for me to kind of get a handle on how I typically act throughout the dimensions. Yeah.
Does your girl like watch?
Does what?
Does like your girl like watch these podcasts?
She has seen a few of them, but I mean, a lot of them are so long. A lot of times she doesn't end up watching them. They take a while to get through sometimes. But a lot of times if we're hanging out anyway, so.
So, has anyone ever told you like you look like Ryan Gosling?
No, I have not.
I don't know why. I just noticed it. I didn't just notice it. But...
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's actually a first. That's funny.
Yeah. What else though? I feel like we're getting near that time though.
Yeah, I was thinking that's something that me and Chance were talking about this first episode I did. We're like, both me and him listened to Joe Rogan and everything, and like I was like, yeah, Joe's like after about 3 hours it turns into a pumpkin. So he's like, I try to keep it at about an hour to 2 hours, and we're at about 3 hours and 14 minutes. So this is the longest one yet. So
that's not enough, man.
Right. No, but that's good, dude. Is like I still feel like I could sit here and talk to you for a couple more hours. I know it's getting late, but like that's how it flows. So that's good. Like, that lets you know we got more to talk about. We can do more episodes. That's what it's about, dude.
Yeah, so. I feel like chatting, like give it a little bit more. But I want to ask like, what are your thoughts on Alex Jones?
I was wondering if we were going to talk about it at some point. I was wondering about that. I think Alex is like it's another one of those things, man. Like they're a lot of the people, they're also holding these polarities in these programs, and there's certain things for you to move through. So like I had to move through the Alex Jones program, where like a lot of that stuff I felt like was true, and some parts of it still are true. And Alex is a trooper, and he's done amazing work, but at the same time, it's also he's making money and fueling his being on being a fear monger. That's just
Yeah.
that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But that's also part of like the nature of him playing his corner, and I see that like that's just like for him to like sustain himself, he's got to throw on that character for him to hold his corner. But that's what he came here to do. He came here to be that dude that like, if anything, if it was just for me to like have that awakening, that understanding that pushed me a little deeper, then that's something that he's here to do. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to say
dude,
like
like
what any of our purposes are to each other, but
Dude, somebody was, I think it was like a YouTube comment, or somebody was, I read it somewhere. They were saying like certain people come here. I think this might even be the human design thing, but some people come here, they're like here to just kind of like shake you, like shake you out of your sleep, like activate you.
Yeah.
And like Alex Jones is like one of those people.
Yeah.
Like they're here to jostle you. Like other people might give you the whole picture kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Other people might be more like intimate with somebody, like work directly with people.
Yeah.
Or something
It's
like that.
about, here's what it is, man. This is a huge thing. It's about meeting people where they're at.
No doubt.
I've learned tons and tons about this a lot this past year, about like, especially with religion or belief systems, is that like you literally trying to translate like information to people, like sometimes they literally just don't have the frame of reference or anything to even understand it. They literally like you're doing yourself or them no service. So what you have to do is find a ways to relate it to them. So like, okay, well maybe I can go in on them with the diet, or like if they're interested in maybe learning about lucid dreaming because it's fun.
Yeah,
Whatever.
That's what I was saying. If you're trying to explain a concept to somebody and they're just not registering, like that's actually your problem. It's not.
Exactly. It's a huge thing, and that's part of like me like doing this kind of a thing is like for me to find as many platforms and just be as dynamic as I can in translating what I'm trying to do, which is through action. That's what I was trying to tell you earlier, is that like what I'm trying to transmute through all my knowledge, understanding, and all of this from these experiences is like actually to create something that lasts from what I, to actually go out there and do it. So that's, I don't know, that's just something I think is really important,
Yeah, man. Yeah. Like one of my, like my buddy told me, one of my best friend pretty much told me like recently, like I care too much about other people or something along those lines. And I think what he means is like it's almost like gift and a curse type thing. Like I care a lot about wanting other people to see what I see. And his whole thing is like, man, you just kind of got to let it be. Like, and that's a really tough thing to kind of wrestle with, because you do really want to like fucking like show people stuff. I'm like a way more chill these days. I don't really care. I think the world is amazing as it is. There's so much, even if you're not even a spiritual person in the least bit, there's still so much stuff out there to be entertained with that I just kind of let it be. I'm way more chill than I used to be.
Yeah,
like
me
really
too.
like just like kind of like, and even if, and like, do you know who Taylor Budd is? So like, there's a guy, like, you may want to write his name down. He's kind of like Sevan in regard. It's Taylor Budd. He's got like a YouTube channel, but he's kind of like Sevan in that I don't agree with everything, but that's one of the things like he talks about. He makes some really good points on some of his videos. Like these people that you want to convince, family members, all that, even if you do show them what you want to see, by the time they come around to actually seeing it, you yourself will be at another level anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, it's not going to be that fulfilling to you really, because like they'll have taken all that time to figure out what you already knew, and then by that time you're already on to the next thing.
Yep.
And yeah, bro.
A lot of times the only thing you can do is just show them the gifts that you were able to attain out of it. Like if you're able to give some kind of specific insight, whenever you can. And then like also the gift of like seeing you improve. Like if it's real and it's true, you should be able to show measured improvement from it in some aspect of your being.
That's why I feel myself, like I feel I can be misunderstood, because I do. So some parts of me that I have these kind of these like deep philosophical understandings, but there's other parts that's like, I'm honestly I'm 21 years old. I want to just go out and fucking tear shit up on it. Like sometimes I feel like that. Like I just want to have a grand old time and not really care about the consequences. And that's also something I talked to Noah about. She says like, you know, we were talking once and I was like, you know, I think I asked her, do you ever miss like being like when you were my age? Like I think I said like, I'm curious about it, like how you were when you were my age. Like, do you ever miss that time? She's like, no, not at all. Because when you're young, it's funny. And even people on the retreat, the Costa Rica retreat, were saying to me, which we still should talk about. They're saying to me like I was different in person than they thought I would be from social media, which to me is like duh. But they're saying like one buddy, Solhan, was saying like you know, I'm like a young energy, and I think that's what she was talking about. Like you have this young energy that's kind of restless. You're always like, and you just want to do everything at once, and then as you mature, you kind of grow into this maturity and this wiseness, like, and it's like you can appreciate life. And dude, I actually been realizing that lately too, like how happiness in life is really just comes from enjoying the simple things. Like, okay, in my day ahead of me, like I'm gonna eat some really healthy food, man. I'm gonna work out, like I'm gonna go work, make some money. I'm gonna come home, play some video games, or I'm gonna go have this podcast with Chris, or I'm gonna go write a song. It's like just being able to find like deep happiness and gratitude just in like the 2 or 3 activities that you're gonna maybe do. That's what's fulfilling, honestly.
Yeah, and dude, that's the thing I found even is like at the height of like these crazy experiences, psychedelics, all that is it comes back to, it always brings you back to, dude, the simple and mundane is incredibly spiritual. Just like this place is incredible. Like being able to have this continuity of consciousness to even experience this physical plane. Like everybody's always trying to poo-poo it, push it down, everything. No, this is the place where we really get to test our mettle of our imagination. We literally get to like manifest from those planes into the physical with our hands. We get to actually do it. That's fucking awesome. I don't. A lot of people are in this. Go ahead.
But just while we're on that, like, it is exciting, but like, the thing is like, and people are very sensitive today, which is like, part of me is like, yeah, you people need to toughen up, but with all the trauma that we've gone through, it's like when we rub up against certain frequencies, like that hurts. It hurts. Like, we want to do the shit. We want to go all in. I know, like every human here, I know in my heart, like we all really want to get involved. We want to have a great life, but we just run into these blockages, and it hurts, bro. Like even me, like I want to be like who I'm meant to be. I want to go all out. I really want to like travel the world and do amazing things and all that, meet amazing people, but like it's gonna hurt like to get there. I'm gonna have to go through pain, and that's why it's tough. I was even asking her earlier, like, what is it that prevents people from taking beneficial action? I think that's what it is. It's knowing pain. That you're gonna have to cut ties with your friends, maybe.
It's future pain, knowledge of future pain.
Yeah, legit.
That's the thing, is you need to get comfortable with pain.
Took the words out of my mouth, bro. Like be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. That's part of it. Is that's what this whole thing is. It's like working out. If working out was easy, everybody would be jacked. But it's part of like it's part of the novelty or the specialness of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's really, really weird waters to navigate.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, man, yeah, I guess we might as well just talk a little bit about, I guess, the retreat, since, it came up a few times. But basically, Sevan, who we talked about here, had a retreat. And my thing, well, I mean, when I looked how much it cost, like $2,000 and some change, I was like, yeah, I mean, it's awesome, but I'm not going to be going on that. Like, I'll leave that for the people who have money. But then some kind of sequences of events in my life led me to feel like, I'll have the money. Someday it'll be fine. I could just find a way. It came to me like, wow, I can use PayPal credit. I have a $3,500 line of credit. Why can't I just go buy a ticket for that? So I did. And then I had like people in my life saying like, like you should go, like your number one, like Secret Energy, as they have this question and answer section. And I was like number one for reputation. People were saying like, you deserve to go, like you should go. So I went, and like my thing was like, at that point I had been hearing different things about Sevan. Like I've been talking to some people about like, just certain stuff that we talked about earlier, and how he's kind of iffy on who he is and who he really says he is and all that. So I'd heard that stuff. My whole thing was kind of go and gauge for myself. That's the thing. I wasn't necessarily going as like the biggest fan. I really wanted to meet this guy, meet him there in person. So yeah, man, I mean, it was cool to meet him. I feel like I have a little bit more insight as to what he's about than people who just only know him through his YouTube videos and whatnot. And like, I've met his wife. I mean, that's really vulnerable when you can meet someone's wife and their kid and stuff. And do I feel bad that I had to get to a point where I said, you know what, Sevan and everyone else out there who listens to him, this is really not for me, stepping away. Do I feel bad? Yeah. I mean, the dude won't even respond to me. So it's tricky, man. And a part of me feels like I don't think people should be listening. I mean, getting as hyped up as they do about him. I feel like he has some stuff he needs to work on, but, you know, one thing that Sevan did teach me, when we used to chat all the time on Skype chat, one thing he did say to me personally, when I talked about, hey man, there's these people that are saying this stuff about you, he said, well, you know, one thing that's always stuck with me is the interesting thing about people who will say something about someone like Sevan is it's so easy to talk about somebody, but which one of these people is actually coming out as a spiritual teacher and getting out there and taking the actions themselves? Only when you get to that point that you're going out there and being a spiritual teacher can you even begin to fathom what someone like Sevan even goes through, regardless of what he's saying is true.
That too.
You can't even begin to fathom that.
The pressure of that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my thing too. Why it's hard to really fully discredit him is because and like, you know, if I feel called to come out as a spiritual teacher and do what he's doing only better, then yeah, I might do that. But like, dude, I don't, also with all this stuff that's been going on with me, I don't feel like I can trust anyone that calls himself a spiritual teacher anymore.
I don't either. I don't trust anybody that calls themselves a spiritual teacher. That's just, I think they're all charlatans. That's just the thing. It's like when you, like, there's certain parts of like people like you're teaching spirituality, you're teaching specific things. Like people want to go learn those things, those techniques. Great, that's just like school. But like,
yeah,
it doesn't make you like somehow better or anything at all than anybody. It's just it's complete nonsense. There's always that is always there somehow is always there.
Yeah, man. Like that's the phenomena that led me to certain realizations with Sevan is how people do pedestalize him or whatever the word is, and yeah, just the realization of like, and it's tough because the way he presents himself makes it seem this way, but yeah, it's not like he's actually, like, he has read, you know, he says 20,000 books. He has obviously a deal of knowledge, but he's technically not better than you or me or anybody.
No.
It's just maybe, I don't know.
I don't think he thinks that earlier. I just think that like a lot of his like marketing and coming off the way he does is the way in which he's trying to get his message out and the audience he's trying to appeal to is like he's trying to appeal to people who absolutely have no idea at all. I'm not saying that any of us have any idea at all what's really going on.
And he is marketing to people that he knows are going to do something.
Because some people need somebody to talk to them like that, you know?
Yeah.
Some people need somebody to like literally just go in on them like that, like they know more than they do. Because a lot of times, like legit, Sevan just knows more than a lot of people do, but it's hard to not come off like that. But some people, they go to that because they feel that. They feel like this person actually does know more than they do. They are seeking discipleship. That's the difficult thing is when you are somebody who has information, that you're trying to present it, to not come off in some way like you're some kind of a guru and still maintain this like separation from you and the information. Very difficult to do when people are asking you very specifically how you are getting through it. They're asking you how you are doing you. And then they're like, okay, I need to be kind of like Sevan. That's like what they're doing. That is a really fucking weird position to be in. Really weird.
Yeah.
I've experienced,
Bro, let's talk about like other train of thought. Let's talk about like the new age movement. And like the way I would describe it, I'll just start off is like, there's like authors and stuff and people like Timothy Leary say, to me that Sevan is like this. I don't know. That's totally personal. It's not, I don't think other people should think that, but I think what new age is there's authors and people that come out with spiritual knowledge that it makes like hella sense to someone. It makes a lot of sense, but when people take that information and apply it, they're actually creating with that information, and they're creating something that's so close to the truth, but it's actually not real.
You're right.
And
Yeah.
they're creating their own prison.
That's a great observation. I've seen that time and time and time again. Like, it's literally, that's what it is. It's like, it's the thing, the distraction, or like the thing that's close to it. It's also evolved with it. It's like the illusion of the thing, or of the copycat kind of thing of like trying to figure out
it's like
what
a
that is. And
frequency,
like,
bro.
yeah,
Like
it is. It totally is.
Like I guess it's like what the Archon thing is. It's like,
yeah.
It's something that's not real that wants so hard to be real.
Mm-hmm. It's part of that. But it's also part of that whole story of like the whole story of the thing, and like even the motif of our imagination itself. You know what I mean? Of like, here we find, like, we think something, we imagine something, but it's really frustrating when it doesn't just appear, but we have to do this, and this to make it appear. So we like actually like come up with whole systems of imagination in ourselves, like to explain kind of how things become more instantaneous or whatever. But like, I think another state of our being is used to things coming quickly.
And do you think like there's things that need no explanation? Or like, do you think there's like we should be able to have an explanation for everything? Because I think I feel like Sevan tries to describe and explain things that we don't need that deep of.
I don't know if it's as much as if we need it or if we can.
We can, yeah.
I don't know. And then it's probably getting back to like a purpose of what we are, is like, how many monkeys does it take to figure out a paradox? Like, I feel like this, it's just a joke. It's like this ongoing joke thing. That
Another thing I want to tell you, I just thought of was like a really cool tangent. Like Noah was like visiting last month, and she was telling me this because like I've been going through this thing, and she's been helping me too, like of like not seeing everything as like just a conspiracy. Like, and just realizing like a lot of the time things are just as they seem. And so Noah's telling me this hilarious story about this group of like scholars at Yale. Maybe you've heard of this, I don't know. Maybe some people listening have heard of this, I don't know. There's like a group of scholars, and they were like trying so hard to dissect every little part of this like book. I think it was James Joyce or something, some book. They were trying really hard to dissect like every little thing of this book. And they got to this one line that they could not, like, they just couldn't understand, like, what does this mean? Like, why did the person write this? Like, what is it trying to describe? So they wrote, the author, and they said, what is this? The author like wrote back, like, it was like sometimes like the thing was like da-da-da and da-da-da, like the desk, like the corner, like the chair sitting in the corner of the room in the building or some shit. So they write the author, what does the chair sitting in the corner of the room in the building mean? And the author writes back, sometimes the chair sitting in the corner of the room in the building is just the chair sitting in the corner of the room in the building. It's like, it's real though.
That's
like,
a good way to put it. You can make yourself go all crazy trying to like, dude, I totally know what you mean.
Man. I'm really moving away from the, and it's made me much happier. Like,
it takes a lot of energy. That's why getting away from the Alex Jones is what helped me with that. It's like when you get away from that frequencies, you don't spend as much of your imagination thinking of conspiracies and how things could be convoluted and fucked up and going against you some way by someone.
Yeah, dude, my good buddy was because he asked me once, like, so what is the Illuminati? Like, I've been really curious, like a long time ago, and I told him, like, it was a small group of individuals trying to consolidate power and fuck everyone else over to keep that power. So he messaged me yesterday, being like, man, I've been doing a lot of research into the Illuminati. Like, it's kind of crazy, like all the shit that's going on, like the Hollywood and like, music industry. I'm like, I just told him, like, bro, like, just like, don't look in that stuff anymore, bro. Focus on stuff that's gonna better you. Mm-hmm. I believe that,
Yeah, I think it's good to look at it and to get the information, but when you obsess over it, it takes over your life.
Yeah, man. And dude, like, actually, Sevan was talking about that on the retreat. I recorded a little segment. I don't think I have it anymore. But there was a little segment that he talked about, like, he was getting too immersed in that whole conspiracy side of things, and he was saying he needed some lightness. So he started this little enlightened life. It's like a little video series, like.
I remember those. Yeah.
There's nothing too about Sevan. He always says he's gonna do stuff and then he doesn't do it.
I know. I noticed that too. Every one of the videos, it's always something new.
Yeah.
But he's always doing something like completely different each time. So he's still trying to figure out what he wants to do too. I get that.
Yeah, man. Like if he would just respond to me, we'd be all good, bro. Like, if I want to work with someone like that, I want to be in proximity with someone. I feel like I should talk to the people that actually spent a lot of time with him, like Soul, the Asian guy. Like, he actually spent time. I think I might hit him up and just talk to him and be like, yo, what's your perspective on all this? But because it's never good to just, make assumptions about people.
No.
That's not really what I aim to do.
Mm-hmm.
But,
I think that eventually I'm sure he'll get back to you. I mean, I know he gets, it might even be worth resending. I don't know. Sometimes his stuff gets like flooded with stuff and he misses things. But, but like it is like when you, but that would be the thing too. Like if he knows you and knows that you like, you guys have messaged more than once, he might be like, okay, like I've talked to Peter, so like I need to get to a few other people and get some things ironed out with them because like Peter's my boy. He knows I'll get back to him at some point.
And he posted some stuff about trolls, about trolls doing this and that. I'm like, I really think I'm not a troll because like I think that I'm genuine and I think that it's important.
Yeah, of any of the people that I've seen like have an issue like with things that it's like Sevan and stuff talks about are like you're really the only person that I've seen that is like really accurate about things or that's not coming from a place of fear so much as you're just
that's actually interesting that you've even talked to other people that have said
I've just not so much that I've talked to, I've just seen or even seen the things that Sevan has like said about other people that have said things to him too. It's like but you're trying to hold a balanced perspective about it, you know what I mean? And you're just calling what you see and what you feel and experience, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's the thing is like it's tough, like when you do have friends and they don't get back to you soon enough, it's shitty, it hurts, it feels kind of crappy sometimes. I am super guilty of that sometimes, man. I feel I don't even like that. I have a lot of work to do in that part of my life, man.
That surprises me too. I didn't even realize it was like that. Like you were getting that many messages.
Yeah, dude. I even like my closer friends. And a lot of times I will wait to talk to my closer friends because they know me and they know that sometimes it takes me a while to get back. Like sometimes friends will take me like sometimes a week, 2 weeks to a month, sometimes depending on who they are.
Yeah,
it really will depend on like what the situation is. But I'll read them. I'll read all my messages, but I literally just don't have time to sit there and reply because like I'll be like my day goes literally like I'll get up and whatever time I got, I'm usually getting ready in my morning routine. Then I go to work. I can't really text and stuff too much at work.
Yeah.
And then I come home. I'm fucking tired. I wanted to do other things that I'm involved in. I've got my podcast stuff I want to get doing. I've got my business that I need to do. Like after I get off of work, I've got 2 other jobs that I basically have to do and finish up with, and then eat dinner, hang out with my girlfriend all that time, and then maybe message one person if I get a chance. Sometimes, other times I get a chance to message a couple people, or that afternoon I'll take a chance and I'll just take a whack at it. But for me, there's a real struggle in my life for me to maintain those relationships, and it has caused issues for me too, where people are like get frustrated. But I'm like, look, like for us to be friends, you just need to understand that like I want to give you my attention and my time in a way that is where you feel valued. And I don't want to just give you just a short response to something.
Yeah. I want to tell you a funny story too, if you want to hear it. Like,
sure.
So like I mentioned like earlier in the podcast about like there's just a kind of motivational life coach teacher guy that says like he's never taken any psychedelics, and he says like you can get that point, just push yourself. So the same guy, so he's like a relationship, I guess, like dating coach, like how to like pick up chicks, I guess. And one of the things he says is he makes a lot of really good points just about communications or relationships in general. And one of the things he says is like sometimes when a friend sends him a text, he won't respond, but it's not because he can't get back to them. It's because he says, I'm waiting for that next text to come in. Like, oh, so you think you're so
right.
Like, oh, so you think you're better because you're all successful and you can't get back to me. It's kind of funny, like even that could be a part of it too.
It lets you know also. It's like kind of what people think and all that. And yeah, a lot of times too, I won't know what to say to people. Like they'll ask
Yeah,
me something, I'll be like, you
that's
know
part of it
what?
too, bro.
Because I'm not sure. I'm like, I'll actually sit on it. I'll think on it. I'll have a few different people. I'm like, I'm still thinking about what to say to you because, or like, I'll actually have to wait, like, because they're asking me about something that's actual plans. And like, well, I still need to talk to two other people
Yeah.
and like ask off for work. You know what I mean? Like, there's still some things that I need to handle, and it's going to take some time for that to happen. So like, I could let you know that, sure. And a lot of times I do, but other times I don't because I get caught
Yeah,
up.
dude, or sometimes like, cause I'm also the kind of person that people like. My buddy Dan from the retreat told me like, he's like, he even pointed out to me, he's like, dude, you're someone that people actually go to for questions. So sometimes people do
Mhm.
ask me a question, and it's like that. It's not gonna like. I was talking to Noah about this too. Like, ask questions that actually serve a purpose. Like, don't just ask something just because I don't know. It sounds cool. It sounds interesting.
I get that. Yeah, I get that too. Because that's the thing is, I have people. That's what I'm saying is like I have people like you that like will also ask me for advice for things. It's like it's not so much people like trying to get involved with stuff that I'm doing. It's that like they hear my shows, they see like things I'm involved in. They like, and they're also my friends or they're people that are in my community and stuff that reach out to me. And like that's the thing, like with like this Moon Tribe thing and like the music scene and stuff like that I'm in music and art scene and stuff I'm involved in. Like there is a lot of people right in this area that I network with and I communicate with on a daily and weekly basis. So it's like I do genuinely talk to a lot of people.
Oh yeah, man.
So it's one thing. It's like a blessing and a curse. Some things yeah, it's like some people get annoyed with me in some senses, but I also get to
You know what?
communicate.
You know what too,
Yeah.
bro? Like, the thing about Sevan, like, that I actually will have something positive to say is like he like like I feel like the best people at this, that the best at assisting others, they actually make themselves available in more ways than just like, oh, okay, let me give you a text and you're gonna reply to the text.
Yeah.
You know how
Yeah.
many people have said to me like, I had a dream with Savan was doing some crazy
I
shit.
have too. I've had dreams of seven. I had
Everybody says that, dude.
Yeah,
Everybody says
I had a dream where Seven showed me how to use Sri yantras to change the reality of the dream.
dude, that's what I'm
He's
saying.
like literally just he's like
I have those same dreams.
imagine this shape, breathe into it and watch and like literally I'll breathe into it
Dude,
and literally like the people, their attitudes, all these things are just it's like a whole
dude, I
different dimension that
swear.
I go into.
I
It's just
swear.
like so it's like literally that's what made me realize that that's what we're doing all the time. We're literally holding that shape and breathing into it and
Dude, we need to
determining
get
what part of the whole thing we're going to be in
dude,
every
like
single moment.
we all need to get to that. We need to become like more light, like less dense. We all need to get to that point where we're just less like physical based, like where we can be masters in both realms. Like,
Who's to say we're not?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I even asked Noah, like, is everyone a master? She's like, well, no. I mean, yeah, like, I don't know. Like, she even asked me, like, she's like, well, like when she was working on me on my body, she's like, she reminded me of my own mastership, and she's like, what are you a master of? And like, I didn't know, but she knows that I am a master of something,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know, dude. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
because like, there's a part of me that's like, well, yeah, like, and dude, like, something else I feel like is worthwhile to bring up is for the longest time, dude, man, when I found out about Seven and I found out about all the information, the knowledge, it was easy for me to. I mean, it's easy to get caught up in like just judging other. Like, I get really just judging other people and being like, like the knowledge is all there on the internet, man. All you got to do is just go apply yourself and find it. And while that is true, like something Noah reminded me of is like, just because it was easy for me at like age 21 to come into all this, it doesn't mean it's easy for everyone else.
No, absolutely not. That's part of meeting. That's what I was saying earlier. Part of meeting people where they're at is like recognizing
Hell yeah.
that one point in time you were down and out too, like where you wouldn't have
But
been
dude,
able to absorb that information.
like spirituality to me and you, how we love talking about it. Like, we can go
Uh,
into this 4 hour long conversation. What is that for some other person? Like, maybe it's like designing fabrics or some shit. Like, go into
exactly.
that with them, and then at some point you collaborate. You make like, oh, let's design a fabric with like some awesome, amazing design that like that's inspiring. It's like somehow spiritual. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's like collaborate too is another thing, bro. Like the way that I got to the point, like aside from just buying a ticket to Seven's retreat, the way I got to a point of where I feel like I developed this sort of closeness with him is I feel like with people that you really respect and that you want to meet, like have something to offer them. It's like the thing with you, like even you were saying, like there's a lot of people that want to hit you up, and you can't get back to them. But dude, I'm on the podcast with you, but maybe that's because I felt like I had something to bring to you.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
know,
part of it,
you know,
part of it too is like I also recognize that, and this is something I learned from Seven too, is that like if you're trying to do all these things, like you're trying to help these people, a lot of times you get caught up in doing one at a time, but really the best good that you can do is the good that affects all of them. And part of that is things like this right now. That's the whole thing. Like that's what's motivating me to do this, is like a lot of times when I get into these topics, a lot of these things are the things that my friends have been either asking me, talking to me about, or addressing themselves or trying to figure out. And then they listen, they're like, oh dude, like this is exactly what I was thinking. And I was able to give those epiphanies or those things to like, 20 or 30 of my friends at a time and get to hear them tell me that back. And it's like, yeah, like that's where it's at, man.
I mean,
like that's
the
power.
The trippy thing too is like, regardless, like every little thing that we do, that a person does, actually affects the whole.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's even like that Taylor Budd guy I mentioned, that he was mentioned in this video of his. He has like so many YouTube videos. He was talking about like one thing that kind of tricked me out, but it was like, wow, it's definitely true. It was like something that a person might do could affect something that happens on the other side of the world, and it's just totally indirect, just because that's just how it's just physics. Like it's just
like butterfly effect. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Do you ever see that movie with the casting coach?
I have. Yeah.
That was trippy, dude.
Yeah.
How trippy was that? I don't remember the plot exactly, but I might go back and watch it. I just remember the ending was trippy.
Yeah, I watched that. That's been years since I watched that, but yeah, I mean, he pretty much basically he just went back and like went through all the different parts of his life, and then realized like it could have better if he wasn't born. Just just kills himself in the womb.
Yeah, bro.
Fucked up ending.
Did you ever see that Island?
The show, or no, that's a movie.
That's Lost.
I was thinking Lost.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have or not.
Okay.
No, I don't know.
That was one of those movies that there's a lot of hints in. Like, basically, it's Ian McGregor and Scarlett Johansson and they're like, I don't remember the other. Oh yeah, Steve Buscemi, and so like they're like Ian McGregor and Scarlett Johansson are like clones on this like.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. And then they break out of the cloning facility into the real world. And some of these movies that really makes you think.
Yeah, that's what also makes you think about is if this is all self-created, it's like how much of these things, these people, these programs, is all this is like, did we kind of create so that we didn't like get too much of it at once? Like, you know how in like the Tomb Raider movie or Indiana Jones movie where like the newest one, have you seen that one with the alien, the crystal skulls and all that?
No, man, I don't really watch movies anymore.
Well, there's this part with this lady, the Nazi lady. She's like holding the crystal skull, and she's like, "Give me all the information." And the aliens are sitting back, like, "Okay." And she's like, it's kind of like that. It's like, I don't know. It could just
be careful what you wish.
Yeah, exactly. I've definitely learned that, especially with catalysts and stuff. Is there's such a thing as too much? Not like it's gonna. Well, yeah, it can affect you permanently, but
you get over your head.
Yeah, you can definitely go in over your head. I've had that. Yeah. Sometimes you're not ready to go that deep into the mind of God, whatever you want to call it. It's just holy fuck. Like trying to find yourself again after that sometimes is like.
I mean, dude, I've even like one of my worst trips. Like I've pretty rarely had like a bad trip, but one of my legit bad trips. Like I was on a DMT, and I came into this place where there's this voice telling me like. I started like my frequency just started going to a really bad place, and then I heard this voice being like, "This is like this is what you get like when you play around, and you wanted to play around in these psychedelic realms. This is what happens if you don't know what you're doing. You play around." And then I started feeling like I was dying, like, and I didn't know if I would come back or if I would be the same person. But I like shriveled up in this ball. I tried to get up and go to the door and go to another room, but I just could not. I was so disoriented. So like I got up and I like just fell back and shriveled into this ball. And then what I started to feel like was like, imagine like you were like a cow who got slaughtered. And then, they took your meat, they took the body of your meat and then they package it up and put it on a shelf. Like at that point, there might actually imagine there's like still like some spirit like in that piece of meat, but it's just trapped. I feel exactly like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this psychedelics sometimes, like at really, really deep states of it, it feels like it can take your consciousness and like it's almost like those like lights or like that geometry. It's almost like sometimes it's like slicing you up at the same time. It's like slicing up your ability to hold it all together. You know what I'm saying? Or like to come back with the memory. That's kind of like the sensation of this is like what I like until like when you're trying to bring all the information back. It's just like cutting all those cords before you get back down in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I really can't say whether I can't say specifically what I got that's really made my life that much better from psychedelics. I mean, I could say some stuff that I don't know if that's really a psychedelic, but I also can't say that there's that stuff that, you know, permanently made me in a worse position. You know?
Right. That's the thing is like it's not, even for me, it's not necessarily a better or a worse. It's just it showed me this path. This is the one that I took, and it showed me. I guess there's just some things I wouldn't maybe have appreciated before, for sure, about myself and about the people around me and all of that. I don't know, man. Like honestly, for me, they've made a huge difference for me. Huge.
Okay.
When I got into them, I was not in the best place, like mentally. Like I was and I wasn't. Like there's a part of me that's developing and doing well and all of that, but the other part that like that these things melded like perfectly with showing me some deeper truths about how things are put together that I feel like has honestly saved me a lot of time and put me in very interesting positions that I otherwise definitely would not have been if it were not for psychedelics with specific people at specific times. So I kind of think about like for me, it has, in a sense, has been partially like defining the last few years of my life. It has been coinciding like my awakening experience, and it has been also catalyzing it in different aspects of it and at different times. So for me, it actually has, I wouldn't say it's necessarily made me better or worse. It's just made me less confused, less afraid, more sure of who I am and what I came here to do. And getting to see also kind of more of what that like looks like getting to see your feelings, if that makes sense. Seeing your own state of bliss and connection to everything. Like when you can hit themes and you can be like, okay, like I know this place, I've been here before. What's up, everybody? Like I'm here to transmute energies, to share information, to hold space, and then take whatever lessons I can bring back to my world. And like, I don't know, man, it's something that I have been bringing gifts back. And the part of that I've realized is myself. That is the gift. And like, that's the kind of the gift I realized that was to myself. And that's what psychedelics helped me realize is that it taught me a lot about how to love myself. And that was the key to my manifestation. For me to begin to help anybody or do anything, I had to love myself. And psychedelics helped me show the ways that I was hiding from that, you know, in ways that I was going very far out of my way to not love myself. So psychedelics are like, no, stop it. And that's what I needed. I needed something to like, no, bro. So that could have been 20 years of therapy, or that could have been a mushroom trip, you know?
Yeah. Hey, bro, you know what, bro? Like, I'm going to have to stop you there, bro. Like, I think it's just that time.
Yeah, sure.
The thing is, like I do feel like we have a lot more to talk about.
For sure. No, I've been...
we should get on another podcast, but yeah, it's been so long.
Yeah, no, I feel you, dude. This is the longest one I've ever done. This is hitting it at about 4 hours. So this is probably like
I wonder if people like are gonna listen to like this whole thing.
I don't know. I think it would be interesting because I haven't seen exactly a video cast or a podcast that's 4 hours long in a minute that was actually interesting. Okay. That wasn't just something that somebody had like, you know, written out like point by point. Like I hardly ever see shows going this long.
Even if people don't watch this, like just for me and you to connect, brother, like it's more than worth it.
Oh, dude, hell yeah! Like this is like
it's a
us
funny
literally
too.
getting to know each other. Like we
Yeah,
get to
dude, it's
record a
funny.
conversation of it.
Dude, like the most bizarre thing too, and like I've had this experience with my friend Dane, amazing brother, but like I had this experience with you where it's like, okay, we've talked once on Skype for like 15 minutes before, and we talked a little bit on Facebook chat, but how insane is it that we can go into like just a deep ass conversation, bro? Like so
Yeah.
deep and personal.
Yep.
Like just for someone that we barely know. That's just fascinates me, man.
It makes you think about how we're really like more connected than we think, and like that a lot of this is also the information, and it's the energy, it's the whole frequency that we're connecting and vibing on too, that's speaking through us, and there's something to be said for that. And that just says something about you, and it says something about me, man, like what we're on and what we're pursuing, and that we get to have these kind of gems, these kinds of conversations, and we get into these kinds of things because we're into the things that we are. And that's the reward. It's getting to have these kinds of friendships and all these things, to be able to share these kinds of deep feelings, because this is really important stuff, really very important stuff. The things we've talked about in this 4-hour conversation have been more important than most of my entire public school education. The things that I came to in the past few years, even those are things that would have saved me so much time, just as a being, not as just like this person in this American whatever. No, it's just as a sentient being, as a creator.
Yeah, I mean, I have visions of building schools in the future, and like just on topics that kind of stuff we cover here.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, that's gonna be cool, is like you're gonna have a watermark for yourself too, seeing like where you're kind of beginning and getting into this, and like one day you're gonna have those schools, you're gonna have that stuff, it's gonna be made, and you can like look back on this and be like, these were the people it took to like make these things happen.
Yeah, the roots.
That's right. So awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for your time and all your awesome questions and your brilliant mind and
thank you, man.
being.
I'm more than happy to be here.
Yeah, me too, dude.
Likewise.
Me too. Cool.
Sure, man. Yeah, we'll get another podcast soon.
Dude, most definitely. When we figure out how to stop this recording, and yeah, dude. Well, peace out. Have a great rest of your night. All right.
All right, for sure, man. Take care. I love you, bro.
Love you too. Catch you later.
All right, buddy.
Peace.